Hello, hello, hello. All right. We were on mute. We were on mute. Sorry about that. I got to do the whole thing over again. But my bad, my mistake. All right, people. Welcome back to the Red Devil Experience. We are live. Tonight's show is exactly what the thumbnail says. Massive decision because United do have a couple sort of decisions that they are potentially going to make or maybe have to make that I think are going to have sort of some massive implications for, the rest of the season, but the squad going forward. There's a lot of Manchester United reports coming out, and obviously we've got a couple in the past, but they seem intent on going all out on Antoine Semenyo in January, and at the same time we've got fresh noise around Joshua Zirkzee and a possible move away. So the big question, obviously, is is United about to cash in on Zirkzee to help fund a massive move for Semenyo, or at the very least clear some room because we do have sort of an injury crisis right now. To a certain extent, I mean, we've went from having too many players to not having enough players, but I think we have to sort of look at the bigger picture is when we do get all these players back, if you were to get somebody like Semenyo in, what does that actually mean for Joshua Zirkzee? Because he wasn't getting a lot of game time before, sort of we've started dwindling down the numbers at United. So, but, we'll break down what's being said. Before I do that, please make sure you smash the like button. It's a massive help to the channel. It gets more Reds to see it. It gets more Reds part of the conversation. So make sure you're doing that. Get that done for us. And if you enjoyed the content, you're new, subscribe and hit the notification bell icon. We're trying to get to 3,500 subscribers. We're on our way. We're at 3,250. So welcome to all, new or old. We welcome you here. Get involved in the comments. Get involved in the live chat. Give me your thoughts and opinions. But basically on Semenyo, and we'll get into it in more depth, but a little bit of a rundown. United are described as one of the front runners right now. It's between us and Manchester City, apparently. He has a 65 million release clause that is active until January 10th. And 4 clubs have apparently opened talks with Semenyo, which is United City and two others, which I believe they are Liverpool and Arsenal, I believe. And that the wording is that United are willing to go all out to get this done. City are in the race and there's other interest, but the message is if United really wants Semenyo, this is the window to move and move early. And on the other side of the coin, Zirkzee, Roma are being linked heavily. They've been linked heavily for quite some time now. There's talk of a package around 40 million euro mark, loan plus obligation stuff being discussed, and the suggestion that his sale or future could be part of how United free up space and money for more business. And Semenyo for big money is someone Amorim likes because of his versatility, pressing, goals. And, Zirkzee, who's just come in, he's been in for a year and is already being talked about as a potential asset to move on. So, it is sort of a gamble. It is massive decisions because there's implications into this. I mean, if it pays off, United end up with a front line that actually fits Amorim's system perfectly. Semenyo flying off the flank, Sesko through the middle, Cunha, Mbeumo, Ahmad, and Mason Mount all sort of rotating. It could go wrong though because we do need a midfielder. We're going to spend a chunk of money in here. Are we going to get a midfielder in? And if we do, who can we get and how is it going to be? There's been reports obviously of Ruben Neves. And he's being linked to us again. We've just gotten another update as we've gone live. So we're going to get into that as well. My initial thoughts before I give you the full updates is, listen, I think there's a couple things that I'm sort of trying to work out here. And maybe we work it out together as we're live. This is, part of the reason why I do this show. I don't have all the answers. I don't know what is always the best decision and what's always necessarily going to work. But listen, I rate Semenyo very highly. I think he is an excellent player. I think he fits Ruben's system perfectly. I think he's sort of a player that I would like to be at Manchester United. I think he fits sort of what I deem a Manchester United player should be. But £65 million. I think it's a fair price for a player of his quality in the Premier League. And part of me is like, well, again, I sort of said it, like, you know, with Zirkzee, I don't really see him as a striker. Now, he tends to go in, you know, for Sesko. And to be fair to Zirkzee, he does give us something different. You know, him and Sesko are not the same player. They might be sort of bigger players in that their build is a bit similar, but they are technically different, and they do sort of, you know, play the game different. They have different thinkings. They have different sort of understandings on the pitch and how and what they want to do. Zirkzee obviously is very good at holding up the ball, and you know, he does give us a different angle on that. So Brimo 2012 says Zirkzee gives fluidity, I believe. Yeah, I think he does give us sort of something different that we don't really have in terms of in the striker. I think Sesko, the way he plays the game, I think Sesko wants to obviously drive at defenses. He wants the ball on his feet. He actually wouldn't mind, you know, through balls as well, balls to run onto, and then obviously headers, you know, and crosses coming into the box. He likes those a lot. With Zirkzee is very good at holding the ball up. So I think he's better than Sesko at holding the ball up. I think, you know, with him holding the ball up, being able to make a pass, you know, sort of twisting and turning, I think he operates a little bit in tighter spaces with his back to goal. And I don't think Zirkzee really gives us that. I don't think Sesko really gives us that. So sometimes part of me is like, well, I don't really rate Zirkzee too much as a striker because I want the striker to be doing specific things, and I like Sesko better for that. I think Sesko fits more of the mold of what I want as the striker to do. But I do see how Zirkzee can offer something different, and sometimes it's good to have sort of two different type of guys. I do think that if you do bring somebody like Semenyo in, you can rearrange that front three a lot, and we do have somebody like Cunha, and Cunha can, I kind of feel like, hold the ball up as well, so maybe you could replace that aspect with Zirkzee, and Cunha has played sort of that position before, so it's something that we know he can do. And if you bring Semenyo in, I know many people say, you know, the left wing back spot, and I think definitely he could do that, but also I think just if you want to change it based on opposition, Semenyo doesn't always have to play sort of left wing back or left wing, as Ruben would call it, but you could use him in the 10s as well. I mean, he played against us sort of, and he sort of operated in that position, and you could see that he obviously can play there with good quality. So, and Brimo says he is better in tight spaces, which is prevalent to the Prem. I agree. And I think it's not all positives for Semenyo, and it's not all negatives for Joshua Zirkzee. I think it's trying to figure out, you know, what actually will pay off the best for the team. And it's a bit of a difficult one, in my opinion, because, again, there's positives for Zirkzee. There are some negatives. And I think there are some very big positives for Semenyo. But I don't know if United will, you know, the picture for me is a bit cloudy in terms of, listen, if you don't loan Zirkzee out with maybe an obligation to buy, if you don't move him out, and you do still go for Semenyo, you know, what does that picture of the squad look like when we do have everybody sort of back, everybody is fit, and we have a full team? Because I think you have to think about that. I think it's all fine to say Semenyo all in and all that. And, you know, what is the clear picture? I mean, is he going to be brought specifically to play left wing? I think, you know, Ruben has shown that he likes players with versatility, and I think you can play him on the left wing. I think you can definitely play him as one of the number 10s. Maybe you could go as even far as to play him as a false 9 if you really want to, or maybe you need to. I wouldn't ideally say that's something that is sort of the top spot for him, but, you know, yeah, I think, you know, the fact that he would be able to play a couple different positions, I don't know how I feel, you know, what does that mean for Joshua Zirkzee in terms of, listen, he was very limited game time before sort of, you know, Sesko got injured, and now Mbeumo is gone and Diallo is gone. So the opportunity is there now for him to get some more game time. But when everybody comes back, you know, what does it mean? And if it means that he's not going to play a lot or he's going to get less chances, is it really worth sort of keeping him there when, there's a deal, there is some interest from Roma, and there's some interest from other clubs as well that, maybe 40 million. We paid about 50 something million. We wouldn't incur a loss. We would recoup a lot of the money, and then we could obviously use that in the summer later on to, sort of redirect the funds and use it for the midfield that we're all talking about. And maybe this could kind of help in that situation of the midfield as well. We spend 65 million on Semenyo. We move somebody on like Joshua Zirkzee, and that way we still have a good, decent amount of funds for the top midfield targets in the summer. So DJ is here as well. Says, "You good, big man?" I'm good. I'm a little bit under the weather. A little bit. I feel a little bit sick, but I'm all right. Nice hoodie, man. Thank you. Zirkzee will join Italy United. Well, apparently that's where it seems like it's sort of going, right? All these sorts of players leave us and they end up going to Italy. And but I'll hit on Zirkzee in a second. Let's get to Semenyo. So one of the updates from this morning, and it came from Sky Sports, and it's going to pop up on the screen, as you can see here. One of the aggregators kindly giving us this news, saying Antoine Semenyo could make a decision on his future today. Semenyo has been linked with a move away from Bournemouth as a result of having an active release clause for the first half of the transfer window. Manchester United and Manchester City are still ahead of other clubs and remain neck and neck for his signature. So, it's sort of developed into this. It seems like United and City are the two sort of front runners. It's sort of been going a little bit back and forth in that first it's Manchester United, then it's City, then it's United again. But I think we are seriously in for him because it just seems to be sort of heating up more and more. And, this has been talked about for over a month now. So it does seem like we are in for him. And again, remember that release clause is good till January 10th, and it's at £65 million. So I think if we're going to get him, I think we're going to find out really soon because there's only a couple weeks. There's only a couple weeks till that clause ends. And I think for United, I mean, you're not going to do the deal if there's no clause, and especially knowing United as well. United love clauses. Like, we love release clauses. It makes it way easier for us. We don't have to negotiate with the club, and all we need is Antoine Semenyo to sort of pick. Are we his preferred destination, or is he going to pick somebody else? And I think that's also going to be a huge indication and a huge factor in terms of the fact of, if he doesn't make us favorite, I could see United sort of dropping this and walking away and maybe not wasting any time. I think they've made it quite clear they want players that choose us first over other clubs. So, I think really the ball is in his court. I think we are there, and I think we are sort of there. We've shown the most interest, and along with Manchester City, and now it's up to him. So, DJ says I'm excited about him, but haven't a clue who he is. Really, you don't have a clue. I mean, he plays for Bournemouth. He's very good. He's a very, very good player. He's, I would say, he's one of the better players in the Premier League. He has a very excellent work rate. He's quick, he can dribble, he can shoot, and he can assist. And I think the qualities that I've seen from him, I think he fits Ruben's system perfectly. I think he would fit well at Manchester United as well. So, and it's sort of a player that I feel like fits, the project and sort of the mold of what we're trying to do here at the football club. So I think he would be a very good signing for Manchester United. But again, people have these concerns, and I feel a little bit of the concerns as well. Like, listen, we're going to go spend 65 million on Antoine Semenyo. We desperately need a midfielder, especially now because of Bruno Fernandes. It seems like Bruno Fernandes is going to be out for about a month, or more, but that's sort of the indications right now. And we do have updates on Kobbie Mainoo, and obviously Kobbie was asking for a loan, and what's going to happen with him now. So we do have those updates as well. Bro, who watches Bournemouth? Well, I watch all the Premier League, to be quite honest. It depends sort of on the matches, but on I watch almost all, the entire Premier League. Like, I watch all the matches. So when United aren't playing, I'm watching, everybody else play. And sometimes I pick and choose certain matches because some matches are bigger, some matches are smaller. But I do end up watching all the teams over the course of a season. So um, spend 65 million for two midfielders, says Brimo. Well, the thing about that, Brimo, is, and I think it's another sort of difficult one to sort of navigate a little bit, in that we do need a midfielder. We do. But, our top targets have been made quite clear in that, Wharton, Baleba, Elliot Anderson. I would go with those top three as the top ones. Now, those guys, it doesn't seem like that there's any way that we're going to be do it, like that we're going to do it. Like, they don't have release clauses to a certain extent. The players aren't interested in really moving in the middle of the season, so that's an issue. And then obviously there's the clubs involved, Brighton, Forest, etc. Like, they don't really want to sell these guys either. So these deals are basically near impossible for those specific guys. Now, I believe that those specific guys, I do think that they are, sort of exactly what we need. And, they all play in the Prem, which is another plus. It should be less sort of a massive transition. You still got to transition to United life and United pressure, but it's not like, coming from the Spanish league or the Serie A or some other league where, it could further the length of time and make it harder for a transition to happen. I think United do, or can, or at least should be able. My whole thing is, if they tell me Semenyo comes in and now we can't get any midfielder in January, then I don't think it's the best thing to do. But at the same time, we do have to do what's in front of us. And I think Semenyo was probably one that they were thinking about maybe getting next summer. And obviously, it's come down to the point of it's sort of now or never because of the release clause and because of his willingness to leave in the middle of the season. If he wasn't going to move, like, he doesn't have to move just because somebody pays the release clause. He doesn't have to. He could just say, "No, listen, I'm going to wait till the summer to move." But he has a willingness to move. So it's for a player like Semenyo, who I think United were interested in, and maybe they were looking to do it in the summer. Well, this has been pushed to the forefront because it's now or never, really. I mean, he's looking to move, and City are looking at him, and Liverpool are interested, and a couple other clubs are interested. So if we're going to get him, it's got to be now. This isn't something that you can say, well, we'll look to get him in the summer. He's going to be gone. January, he will be gone. He will be at another club, whether it be us or somebody else. TJ says, I'll Google him and get back to you. Yeah, so I think we need to be able to, listen, if you're going to spend, I don't know what the transfer budget we have, but I think if you're looking at sort of the whole thing for Manchester United right now, I think Semenyo would be a good addition. And I think if you're going to do a Semenyo deal, I would say for Ineos' sake or for United's sake, we should have money left over, or there should be options to do a deal for the midfield as well. And then that money, we should have money left over for the summer. And I think it should increase our chances of improving in the season, which should give us an increased position, which means that, getting us into Europe and getting more money that way, and then being more attractive because we are in Europe. So, there is options like Ruben Neves. There's still options like Conor Gallagher. I think those guys, I don't know Ruben Neves. Listen, he's 28. I think he could potentially be a good option. He played in the Premier League in the past, and he was good when he played in the Premier League. And he was sort of a hot topic when he was at Wolves. Many United fans wanted him. And he ended up going to Saudi. I don't know how good he still is because he's been at Saudi for a little bit and he's been playing over there. So, I don't know how high his levels are, but for 20 million, which is the quoted price for Ruben Neves, I think if you tell me you get Semenyo and you get Ruben Neves, I mean, I'll have to wait and see about Ruben Neves. His speed might be a bit of an issue, and we talk about legs all the time in that midfield. His speed might be a bit of an issue because he's not the quickest, but if you tell me you get Semenyo and Ruben Neves, I think that is a positive in terms of for January. to go and push on for the rest of the season and help Ruben and help the squad finish in the best possible place, I think I could take that. If you tell me Semenyo and Conor Gallagher, I think we could take that. We're going to have to deal a little bit without Bruno. I don't think we can massively start doing panic buys and throw everything out the window just because we're in a moment where, we're going to suffer for a little bit. We have to figure out ways. There's also Kobe Mainu. So, is it him we are hoping to be our new Bruno? No. I mean, he's not really, Semenyo is not really that guy. Gray says, did you see Bruno's interview with Rio? He said Amorim wants him to push up into the 10 position onto the pockets when we are higher up. It's an instruction. Amorim don't want 2 sitting mids. Yeah, I mean, I did see that, Grace, and I think it is a good point as well. And I was just talking about this with my father. I was just on the phone with him before I went live, and I was telling him, I'm like, listen, I was like, there's a couple things that I think Ruben wants that he can't necessarily do, that I feel like he is a bit restricted because of the personnel. Whether you rate the players or not, Ruben has made it quite clear that, specific ways of playing, specific characteristics of players will dictate how these positions play. And I think the simplest form to understand the full idea, if you don't really get what he means by this, is that many of us, when we look at the formation, when we look at the lineup, we say we play with 2 wingbacks, right? But when Ruben classifies it, he says, well, Diallo is a winger. He's not a defender. So it's not a defensive position. It's an attacking position that I'm asking him to do defensive work. Now, when you put Diego Dalot, for example, in the left wingback spot, it is more of a defensive position because he is a defensive player. He is not a winger. And if you take Ruben's comments that he just said not too long ago, when he talked about Diallo and he said, we need another Diallo on the left-hand side. And this was something I said a while ago because that's just the way he did it at Sporting. That's the way he's done it in his career. And I always said that's what we needed as well. Somebody like Diallo, who is a winger, who can help in the attack massively, better than the other players, and then has an excellent work rate to do the defensive work. Defense isn't his number one thing. He will get, sometimes he's been a bit sort of exposed, maybe at the back post or something like that. But a lot of times he does do well to track back, stop the play, get a foot on the ball, disrupt the play. And I think that's pretty good for somebody that's not naturally a defender. So there's a couple things in this squad that based on the players. Now I think if you get somebody like Semenyo, you can put him on the left-hand side. I think it changes. I think it changes massively. If you go to the middle of the pitch, I think one of the reasons that he does play Bruno there is that he does want Bruno to push up. But I think when you break it down a little bit more, when you analyze that area, you need 2 guys in there that can sort of do almost basically a little bit of everything. They need to be well-rounded. And we don't really have that. I mean, if you see it even from Casemiro, Casemiro is quite good defensively because that's always been his thing. But he's actually pretty decent in getting involved going forward. The thing that we need is somebody a bit more mobile than Casemiro. And the thing with Bruno is obviously he's quite good at going forward. And he's getting involved in those pockets that he spoke about. The thing that he isn't great, and he has great work rate as well, right? Bruno's always running around. He's always given 100%, which is one of those things. Obviously, the thing he lacks in is just defensive capabilities. When you look at people like sort of Wharton, Elliot Anderson, or Baleba, I think they sort of tick more of those boxes than what we got right now. So we need players that fit the mold a little bit better in that midfield. We need a player on that left-hand side that fits that mold a little bit better. I think those things massively transform the way we get to play, the way we can play, and the way of, how we will play. So Niche fan says, lads, Semenyo isn't happening. Maybe he isn't. Maybe isn't, but listen, there's an opportunity for it there. I think it really depends on him. I don't think it depends on United too much. I think it depends on him. I think it depends on who he wants to go to, because there's a release clause. I think we have money to do it. I think we can do it if he chooses us. But maybe he doesn't choose us, and maybe he chooses to go to City, maybe he chooses to go to Liverpool or somebody else. So, it's a little bit out of our hands. It's really up to him. But I think if he says he prefers us and makes us our number one choice, I think we'll see us go in for him and get him. I do. And then we have a couple other options. Like, there is this Zirkzee thing. I think maybe we'll see Zirkzee go out of the door after that, and go on loan and go to Roma with an obligation to buy. So we'll see what happens there. I'm hearing he's going to City. Well, I mean, City are. I mean, as you could read here, I mean, they are. We are ahead of other clubs, and we're sort of neck and neck. So it could definitely happen. Could definitely happen. Ahmad shouldn't be at the right wing back. He's left-footed. Wing backs should be orthodox, not inverted. Well, that's your opinion, but it's Ruben's system, and if he wants a left-footed player on the right-hand side, then he wants a left-footed player on the right-hand side. He's sort of done this. I mean, listen, the guy's done this before, so he knows what he wants. And he's had left-footed players on the right-hand side, and he's had right-footed players on the left-hand side. He's the guy that's sort of putting the picture together. So I don't know which one's better. Again, I leave that up to him. That's something that he should be able to identify. That's something he should be able to figure out. That's something that he should be able to know how to make work for what he wants. If the right-footed player does better things on the right-hand side, then do it. If not, and it's better the other way around, then do it. But yeah, I mean, that's sort of what he's always. That's sort of always what he's gone for. And he has reasons for that because of how his system plays. So, but I think even on the right-hand side, I mean, Diallo's pretty good with both feet anyway. He's decently good with both feet. I think he has a really good connection with Mbeumo. I would like to keep that connection. So, I don't think we should disrupt that. But they're not here with us, unfortunately, right now. So, but shout out Grace, yes. And guys, please make sure you're smashing the like button, please. And thank you. Get those numbers up. I greatly appreciate it. It is a massive help. So get that done for us. DJ says to watch Delo run all the way from the left-hand side to take a long throw from the right. There's something wrong, man. Well, I mean, I'm going to be honest, DJ. I mean, I think sometimes it's a bit, like when I was watching the match yesterday, there was a couple moments during the match, and it's like our player has the ball in his hand. Delo didn't run over to take it. He was just going to let you take the throw in. And, I don't know how many times they called him over and they were like telling him to come take it. And I'm like, dude, listen, at that point, just take the throw in. You know what I mean? It's already in your hand. The player's already set up. Just do it. I don't have a massive problem with him running over to that side because apparently he seems like he's the only one that can do the long throw in. I don't know if I'm a massive fan of the long throw-in, but listen, we're not the only team that's doing this. There's a lot of teams in the Premier League that are now doing these long throw-ins. I don't know where this started. I don't know how it necessarily started in terms of this season, doing it. But a lot of teams in the Prem seem to be copying each other. A lot of teams have copied the way Arsenal have done set pieces. A lot of teams, whoever's started doing the long throw-in, they're copying them. A lot of teams are copying a lot of similar things that they're doing on, free kicks and stuff like that. So I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I think it adds a little bit of something different. I mean, to be honest, we're not really great at throw-ins anyway. A lot of the times I get really pissed off at the team because we have a player, and maybe it's just a professional thing, but for me, we have a player taking a throw-in and nobody moves and everybody's marked, and then most of the time it's sort of a 50-50 anyway. So I do kind of see the aspect of the long throw-in. You throw it in. I mean, the defense has one option if you throw it in well, and that is to head it out, and your job is to pick up the second ball. So it can be good. It can work. I don't think we've seen any major sort of impact from it yet, but I think it does add sort of a different dynamic. It adds a bit of trickery. So I don't think it's all bad. But But he was playing Dorgu on the left, and Dorgu is left-footed, so he's playing one orthodox and one inverted. It's too easy for the opposition to figure exactly what we will do. Well, maybe, but maybe he's just using what he's got right now. And he was playing Dorgu on the left, but Delo did go over there, and Delo was playing on the left, and he was starting ahead of Dorgu. So I think he does change things sometimes. I mean, I kind of get what you mean because it's a little bit predictable. Somebody that's left-footed on the right, they're obviously going to cut in more, and somebody that's left-footed, they're obviously tend to cut in less and cross more. So, you can sit there and say, well, from United's left-hand side, don't worry about him cutting in because he's most likely going to try to get to the byline and cross it in. And then from the right-hand side, don't worry about him really trying to cross it, from the byline. He's going to probably cut in more. So I get what you mean, but he sort of has to make do with what he's got as well. And he does switch it up. I mean, having Delo play out there, Delo is a right-footed player. Now, we've seen Delo get involved more in the goal involvements from that side, and he had a goal, and I think he had like 2 assists as well after some time playing there. So you can sort of see the effectiveness of a right-footed player playing from the left-hand side, especially when you do the German crosses. And, the German crosses, I think we need to do more of them. And I think they're quite effective, so I want Amorim sacked ASAP. Well, that's not happening, so. You want Glasner in. He will play a 4-4-2 at United. I don't know what he'll play, but I don't know if the grass will be greener with Glasner. So I don't know if the grass will be greener with anybody, really. That's just how I feel. So, Ruben's not going to get sacked, and not right now anyway. And Ineos have made that quite clear, and I think they're going to try and stick with him as long as possible, as long as Ruben gives them the reason to, in terms of mathematically. As long as United are in the conversation and have the ability to finish in a top European spot, then I think Ruben Amorim is going to be staying here until further notice. And at the same time as well, like, I sort of respect that as well. I think Ineos, I think the job that they should be doing in terms of people in charge of the football club, I think they should not be responding to sort of panic or, fans going crazy left and right, because by now we would have probably sacked another 7 managers in the same season. If they just responded to everything to fans. So I think what they need to be doing actually is, and listen, if it fails, it fails. But I think in the past, we've had people in charge that have responded because the fan base was angry and they're making sort of rash decisions and they're sort of panic decisions. And they may have had a plan and then they throw it all out the window because they're worried about fans protesting or whatever it is. But I think they need to do what they need to do, and they obviously have the insights that a lot of us don't in terms of how is the squad progressing, what is the data looking like. This thing goes really deep into football, so it's not just eye test, especially when it comes to them. So they need to be constantly analyzing the squad. They need to be constantly making decisions about it, and I think that they're looking at some things and they're encouraged by some of the improvements, and they're looking at sort of, where we were last season and some of the difficulties we had. And we're looking at this season and some things have improved and some things we're still struggling with. So I think that they're making a level-headed decision in terms of that they're going to stick with it until, something budges, whether we do good and then they can continue forward. Or, it goes really bad and then there's nothing to really continue with and you gotta make the change. So, swings and roundabouts. Love it when you swear. But can we sack him for 4 mil? Well, no, I don't think we're going to sack him. For the fan base in the States, do you still have faith in Amorim? Well, I don't really know many of them, but I mean, I think it's an individual thing. DJ. There's many fans all over the place that I don't think it really matters where you're from. There's many people that have faith and many people that don't. Some people are sick of I'm a bit sick of the conversation. It's like after every one bad result, it's like we got to sack Ruben Amorim, and then it's like when a result goes well, nobody talks about it and nobody's saying the same thing, and everybody that asks for his sacking doesn't say anything. I've been saying for a while, and this is how I'm just going to continue to go about it. I know he's not going to get like people again asked for his sacking after yesterday's match. People tried to put a lot of the blame on him, and I just don't think that match is what calls for it. I think yesterday's match was quite different, and it has to do with what we have in the squad. And I think they tried, but we just didn't have enough. We just didn't have enough. So I don't know how I put that on the manager for specifically yesterday. There's people that they want to include last season. They want to look into the 30% win rate and all that stuff. And like, I get it, but my thing is, we're in the middle of a season. This season is different. We have an opportunity here. If we blow the opportunity, then we blow the opportunity, and the repercussions have to come out of that, and consequences have to come out of that. If we take the opportunity, then good. So, because if we take the opportunity, that means we'll finish in a good position, and we can then say, well, we've improved. So we've improved, and now there's something that we can take a next step to improve more on. So, yeah, I think listen, there's Americans that support Ruben. There's Americans that are against Ruben, but there's people all over the place that are like that. So, I know a couple of them that are public, that have like big accounts that are from the States that are publicly backing Ruben. So yeah. See, I don't think he's ruining the academy. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. Again, if you really believe that, I would implore you to look at the academy and look at it over the last 10 years, and look at all the players that have come out of there, and look at the players that have succeeded, and look at the players that have done well. It's not a great track record. So I know the academy and the youth is very important to United, and I'm not saying that it shouldn't be, and I think it should stay, but I think there's a bit of a myth that our academy has been so great and now he's ruining it. I mean, in my opinion, the academy hasn't been great for a long time, and the greatest period we had was 92. And after that, it's been pretty average. So, I don't think he's ruining the academy. I think there is a path for the academy. I think there is a plan for the academy and a pathway for the academy, but the academy, I think in that plan, is going to take time. And people don't have patience. And, for me, that seems to be a personal problem, because I have patience for it. I'm willing to watch it work out, because I think it needs to take time for it to work out. When you put the whole picture together of United, of the squad, of where we are, of the demands, I don't see, and you look at the level of the academy and what we produced. I don't see how we can all of a sudden just magically start producing top tier talent that we clearly need. But there's some players in there, they have high potential, but they need to continue to do their work as academy players and develop their game. And we got to move forward. So, all the best young players want to be out, and wingers, Neymar, Messi, Yamal, etc. None of them want to be wingbacks. Ahmad doesn't want to be a wingback. Yeah, but here's the thing. He would just play under Scamarim if he doesn't play wingback. Well, here's the thing, though. Ahmad has a good attitude and mentality, okay? Ahmad might not prefer, if you give him the choice, he might say, yeah, I want to play further forward. But guess what Ahmad does? He plays wingback, and he plays it brilliantly. Okay? So these are the players you need. These are the players you need in the team. You don't need players that are going to bitch and moan because they're not playing in their favorite position or a position they would like to play. You need a player that has good quality, that is going to play no matter what. He's going to give the highest level he possibly can wherever the manager asks him to do, because the manager is the general and his players are the soldiers. And when the general asks you to do something, you better do it with the same intent and purpose, no matter what, because the manager has to rely on you to do a job. And this is a team, and you have to work together. It's not about what the player wants. We've had too many examples of here. Of players in the past that they bitch about the formation, that they bitch that they're not playing in the preferred position. They want to play on the left, but they're playing on the right. They're playing on the right, but they want to be playing on the left. Get on with it. Like, this is about the benefit of the team. This isn't about individuals. And too many times we've had too many individuals at this football club disrupting the unity of the collective. And that's why we can't accomplish shit. Because we had a bunch of individuals running around here thinking about themselves and putting themselves first before the team, and then everybody wants to cry as to why we can't be successful. Well, that's part of the reason. So Ahmad, that's why he says you need a guy like Ahmad, because Ahmad has good mentality. Ahmad has good attitude. You put Ahmad in that position, and just to clarify, by the way, I mean, Ruben doesn't consider it a right wing back. He doesn't clarify it. He said it. He doesn't consider it a right wing back because Ahmad is a winger. So he's playing winger with defensive defensive instructions, which is really, in my opinion, if you break it down, if you play a 4-2-3-1 and he's further forward up the pitch, well, what did we ask anyway? What was the problem with Marcus Rashford? Did we not ask them that they have to track back anyway? So is it not really similar? I don't think it's that much different, but for some reason, I don't know. Fans want to make it like it's so rigid, it's not flexible. It doesn't, it's so different and stuff. I mean, the core principles, it's quite similar to like literally every other system and positions. So we sacked the legend for second, but we're sticking with this fraud for what? Ineos' big ego. Well, I would tell you that, number one, the circumstances are different. That was a different time, and many things have changed from then. So that might have been true for that specific time, my friend, Niche. That might have been true for that, and that might have been acceptable for that. But the way this club has been going, and the way and where we are and what's happening to this football club, and now Ineos are different people to what was going on, and they're going about it a different way. The circumstances are different. So I don't think you can look back and say, well, we sacked the manager for finishing second, but that was a different time. And look what's happened since that's happened. So there's certain steps you got to take to go through the process, and we're going through a different process. And I think we are changing a lot of the team. We've made a lot of changes already. I think we need more changes. And honestly, I don't know if it'll work, but I prefer sort of this method than what we were doing before. So we're going a bit of the longer range, the longer way, with the potential to build out a squad that's going to actually last when we get to the level that we need to get to. And we got to build it over time. And I think regardless, it's still going to take 3 to 4 seasons. I look at this squad and I say, well, I think it's a bit overrated, the squad, for people's high expectations. I think it's highly overrated. I think that they feel like that they can do things that I think we're going to struggle to do. I think they feel like they could do it quite easy, and I don't believe that. I think some of the players are quite overrated. I think the fan base overrates the players as well. I don't think that they're at the level that we actually need them to do where we need to be competitive. So if that's the case for me, that means that, well, January, we need to get players. Summer, we need to get players. And then we need to do it again the following season after that. I love this channel, but I'm sorry, he doesn't defend well enough to be a wingback. He needs a defender wingback, says Marcelo. He does not. I don't think he does, because that's not what he wants. So you're asking him to play something different. You're asking him to do something different. I think he needs those as options, because I think he will change it based on the match that we play. But in general, when United are home, when United are going to have more of the possession, when United are going to be attacking, what he actually wants is he wants wingers in wingback positions. He's made that quite specific. That's how he used to use it in players. And in other times, he would switch and put the defenders as wingbacks based on who they're playing. And specifically, his time at Sporting, like, listen, when you go and you're Sporting and you have the quality that you have for Sporting and you go and play Manchester City and the quality they have, well, obviously you're going to have less of the ball. You're going to counterattack more. You're not going to dominate the game. So you're going to have to defend more. So you're going to switch out attacking wingers in those positions for defenders that defend first, attack second. But he's made it quite clear what he wants. So you're telling him to do something that actually isn't actually what what works for his thing. You're telling him to put defensive players in there. Well, I'll tell you what, when Ahmad isn't there, and it's quite clear, when Ahmad isn't there, we struggle to create more. Because Ahmad is an attacking player and Ahmad helps in the attack. When we have Mazawari, when we have Dorgu, or when you have like Delo, or whatever, when you have these defensive players, these defensive first players playing in the wingback position, we struggle to create more, we struggle to actually score more. So when we have attacking players in these positions, we actually do better attacking wise. The midfield is the issue, I think, with the defense. Because I think that player in the middle of the field, that Casemiro, that will help with the defense. It almost turns into a 4. If you have 2 attacking wing players, they are wingers. Okay? You have 3 defenders in the back. You have a defensive midfielder. That essentially becomes almost like a 4. So you end up with a 4 back, essentially. And then you let the other midfielder in sort of in front of him roam and do a little bit of both sides of the game. But he also becomes an attacking player as well. So when you break it down, his thing is actually quite attacking. It's not defensive. It's not meant to be defensive. If you have 2 wingers on the side, 2 actual attacking wingers, you have the 2 10s, the striker, and you have that midfielder all attacking, that's 6 attacking players. That's what he wants. Then obviously the job is for everybody to drop back as a team and do defensive work as a team. But going forward, you're going to have 6 players going forward. That's where all the goals and all the chances are going to come from. You love my positivity, but you're sounding like an Ineos frontman. We've been in transition for 10 years. Okay, but us being in transition for 10 years is not, number one, it's not their fault. Were they part of that 10 years? And I don't care if I sound like an Ineos frontman because I'm just doing what I think is logical. I have my things about Ineos. I don't like Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Wasn't a fan of him. You could go check the first video I ever made on this channel that was alive. It was really anti Sir Jim Ratcliffe. I don't like him. Don't want him here. Would prefer him not to be here, but he's here. And when I break it down, I still think we do need a process of 3 to 4 years. Like, people don't want to hear this, and I know it sounds very glazerish, but I just think that it's the general rule of football. We've just been burned many times. We've been let down. We've been lied to. I think that's an unfortunate circumstance. I don't trust these guys 100%, but I still believe, personally, we need 3 to 4 years, and it takes that long. I think it really takes that long, especially for our circumstances, especially for all the bad business we've done over the last 12 years, especially for what's happened at this football club. We've had a lack of identity. We need to build an identity. We need a game style, a game plan. We need to build on that. We need to build confidence. We need to build consistency. And then we need to do the things with personnel, where we have to constantly do good recruitment. We've done really bad recruitment. To do good recruitment with the financial situation that we find ourselves in because of the Glazers, well, sorry, but we can't do 500 million in one go. We can't. I would love if we could, but we can't. And if people say that they accept nothing less, well, that's your problem. That's your problem. Set yourself up for being pissed off all the time. Go ahead. I'm not going to do it because it doesn't make sense. Because that's not what's going to happen. The most logical thing that we could do right now is make the progress over the next couple seasons. We got to take it step by step. That's the situation we find ourselves in. I hope it works out. It could easily fail. You know, could easily fail, but I hope it works. And I think proper process. When I look at some other teams, they don't just go crazy and jump from one place to another. Recruitment is massive. Recruitment is a massive indication for me of what's going to be, you know, the future of this club and this team. If you can do recruitment right, we're already massively, you know, up. Then comes in line the other things. So I think we've been doing better with recruitment, certainly. Yeah, but Ahmad as an attacker, but he is attacking. And if he played in a 4-2-3-1 or in a 4-3-3, let's just say we played a 4-3-3 niche and he's playing right winger, do you know what they asked the right wingers to do? They asked him to track back and defend. So he's doing the same job. It's the same thing, essentially. It's not like Ahmad is sitting back and not going forward. It's just that his position is a bit deeper. And actually, I think that position actually suits him better. I think it's better than him playing in 10. I think him playing that wide midfield, I think he's way better at that than him playing at 10. I think the fact that he gets to make late runs in behind and he has more space in front of him to do more things, I think plays beautifully to Ahmad's skill set. I think it's way better for him to do the job he's doing now than where I've seen him in 10 hasn't worked out quite well. Amorim has the worst record at the club and you want him here for 4 years. I'm not saying that I want him here for 4 years. He has to earn that right to be here. But the proper process is that it's going to take 3 to 4 years. So my thing is, it's not Ruben. Any manager that comes to this football club, I believe it will take them 3 to 4 years. So he has to earn the right. I think last season, I put a lot of things down to Ineos. He has some issues, but I'm not looking at last season right now. I could care less about last season. So if you want to say yes, I am ignoring last season for now because I'm focused on this season, and this season is different than last season, and this season we have a different chance and a different opportunity. So I'm going to look to see what he does in this season. He's got his preseason. He's getting time on the training ground. And we have opportunities this season to do something. What he does in this season will determine how I think we should move after that. But I'm not going to sit here and say 30% win ratio, let's sack him now. Because I think we're past that conversation and I think it's stupid. So, yes. Yes, I'm not saying that he automatically gets 4 years. You have to earn it. And I'm giving him the opportunity in this season. You have a whole season. We are in the middle of a season. We still have the chance to be and finish in a good position. So you get this season to earn the right to say that you don't deserve to get sacked. If he finishes in 10th, then he should get sacked. If he finishes in a European spot, like 4th to 6th, then he should probably get to stay and we move on to the next phase. You know. We need a better coach who can get the best of the players like Semenyo and Zirkzee. We need better players that can get the best out of themselves as well, so. We need better players, period. Listen to me. I understand that aspect, but I also don't believe in this because, again, this is what I'm saying. People are saying we need to get the best out of Joshua Zirkzee. Could he go up another level or two? Maybe. Can he develop further? Sure, why not? But I will ask you this. Why is it that every single manager that walks in to... Why does Ruben have to use the players that we have? Why does he have to develop all the players that we have into some world-class players? When every manager that has walked into every club, unless you are a small club like West Ham or something that can't afford to buy players and can't afford to do big business, maybe like a Brighton. Are we a Brighton or are we a top club? Are we, because why is it that any manager that walks into Chelsea, they're going to get whoever they want. And if they don't have the players that that fits into the system or that is good enough, they get rid of them and get new players. Why is it that Pep Guardiola does the same thing at Manchester City? They buy him a brand new goalkeeper. Goalkeeper has one bad game. He says, fuck you, go get me Donnarumma. I need a right back. They bought him 10 right backs before he kept the right back that he wanted. Why didn't he just develop the first right back better? Why didn't he just make them better? Why didn't Klopp do the same when he was at Liverpool? Why didn't Arteta take the players that they had there? Why didn't he just make them better? Why did he get all these new players? Why is Arsenal's entire team completely transformed from the time that Arteta walked in to what it looks like now? Why? That's what I would ask. Gets to stay fifth. Ali gets sacked at second. Yes, different time, different circumstances. Yes, it's a different project. Different time. Our team has fallen from there. Okay, we're not there anymore. So accept it. We are further down than where we used to be. We've dropped levels. So we got to build back up. So if you're going to keep asking for managers that now they got to finish second or they should get sacked, well, we're just going to sack every manager because no manager is going to come in, not with this team, and they're not going to make us finish higher than fourth. Whatever you think of Ruben, they're not going to get this team to finish higher than fourth because the team isn't good enough. The team isn't good enough. So it's a different circumstances. Ali got sacked because he was at a time, and he didn't get sacked for second. He got sacked for what he did in his third season. So he didn't get sacked for second. Okay? It's not like we sacked him for second. We sacked him because in his third season, look where he went with the team. Look how it ended. So it ended in turmoil. So that's why he got sacked. He didn't get sacked for finishing second. He got to continue because he got finished for second, but we're in a different circumstance. Ten Hag finished us in 8th, came in, had us sitting in 10th, and Ruben came in. Now, whether you choose to accept or not, but bringing in Ruben and changing the way we play is a massive change, and it's a difficult change. So that's why the circumstances are different, because we are changing a lot, and things are not the same as before. To make the change that Ruben's made, to play this system, to play the type of football that we're trying to play, and for what we had in the squad, it is a massive change. It is going to take time for it to fully work out. It is not going to be a straightforward one. It is not like we sacked Ten Hag and bring in a manager that's going to play 4-2-3, 4-2-3-1, sit back, counter attack. We're not doing that. They have changed what they want at this football club. To get to the other side of this, it's going to take time. And that's why Ineos are sticking with him, because they hold a lot of the responsibility for last season. They're the ones that forced him in November. They're the ones that bought him just Dorgu in January. They're the ones that went with this change. So they're holding a lot of it on them. And they're trying to give him time. And then when I look at the squad from last season and I look at the team from this season, we have improved in a lot of key areas. We still have some problems, but progress has been made. And we need to continue moving forward. You know, it's really that simple. It's not that hard of a concept to understand. So more chance of landing a man on Mars than winning anything serious under Scamarim. But it's not even about winning under Amorim. It's literally not. Right now, it's not about winning under Amorim. It's about building a concrete foundation. It's about building an identity. It's about building a playing style and a confident team. A team that can actually play in a certain style in a certain way. And as you can see, we're struggling right now. We do some matches where we play very good. We do some matches where we don't look so good. part of the process. That's part of progress. You're gonna have some good days. You're gonna have some shit days. But we're moving. We're moving forward. You know, we went backwards because sometimes you got to tear something down to build it back up. And I think that's what I feel like they did with the change that they did in bringing in somebody like Ruben Amorim. You know, everybody said, listen, we don't have the players to play the way that fits his system. I think they were well aware of that. I think they were willing to go through this process. He's a young guy. He's a young manager. He's a bit inexperienced. You know, I think they know these things. They're going for the long route. The long route might not pay off, but I think the long route is something different. This younger squad, focusing more on youth, focusing on a younger team, cutting down this sort of shit, what's in the team in terms of big heads, big individuals getting paid a shit ton of money that they don't deserve because they didn't earn it. And we give it to them anyway. This whole moving away from commercialism players. Yeah, this is what we should be doing. We should have always done this. Progress. Yes, I know. Listen, it's quite easy talking points. Progress. We'll bring up Grimsby. We'll bring up Everton. Their failures. It's so easy, so easy. I mean, you and all the other people that say these things, that's the only answer you got to say. Every time somebody says that things are progressing in the team, ignore everything. Let's just bring up Grimsby. That happened literally fucking weeks ago, about months ago. Like from that point, it's not like we've made fucking progression from there either, no? So, yeah, obviously those things aren't good, but I'm talking about look at the team as a whole. Look at how we're performing. Look at the attack. Look at how we're creating more chances. Look at the way we are playing. Look at how we're doing one touches more. Look how we have more attacking intent. Look at it last season. There is progress that has been made. If we played Grimsby now, we would beat them. We should have beat them. And those players, I've always said, bro, those players playing against Grimsby, that's not a tactical issue. That's not a manager issue. That is a weak mentality squad issue that we've always had at this football club, okay? Those players should be able to go out there without a manager, without any instructions, and they should be able to play Grimsby off the park. The fact that they didn't shows you a clear, deeper problem. It's deeper than the manager. It's his personnel issue. So, and yes, there is progress, bro. There is progress. Go look at the statistics of last season. Go look at what we were doing. Goals, attacking output, passing output, possession output. Go look at it and go look at what we're doing this season. There has been progress made from that to this. It's been progress made. So, move away from big commercial players. We're Man United. We should have the big commercial players. That's who we are. We're not supposed to be a Team Man City. No. When I say big commercial players, I'm talking about stupid commercial signings. Signing Harry Maguire for 80 million because he's English and he plays at Leicester, and he was a big name and he was whole hyped about, and paying 80 million for him because Manchester City were maybe going to get it. Signing a player like Jadon Sancho because he's very hyped and he has a social media online presence that the club bought him, not because he necessarily fit into Ali's plans, because he didn't. Because look what Ali did. He didn't even play him in the beginning. He didn't know what to do with him. Ali didn't want him. The club signed him because his name was Jadon Sancho and he was balling out. And he puts posts on social media, Instagram. And they get views and likes and clicks for it. So when I say big commercial signings, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about big players. I'm talking about moving away from making signings that don't make sense to our football club because they're doing it for commercial reasons and not for football reasons. Okay? We're moving away from that. Mbeumo is a good player. Top player in the Premier League. Was excellent last season. I consider that a big name. Cunha is a big name as well. So we're not getting little Jimmy Johns for 15 million. We're still making good signings. We're making better signings. We're not signing stupid players that don't have a good personality or fit the squad. The changes are totally different. Now, this doesn't mean that it leads to ultimate success. I'm not arguing that, but you can't tell me that things haven't improved and things aren't going in a different direction. And that's all that is. Signing players, signing Anthony for 80 million. Why? Because he was Ten Hag's guy and he played at Ajax and he did so well? You know, signing a Schweinsteiger. Why? Because his name is Schweinsteiger. Bro was finished. Bro was finished and cooked. Signing players like Falcao. Why? Because he was good 10 years ago. Signing players like Cavani. Why? Because he was in his prime 10 years ago and he's a big name. You know, those things didn't help us. Re-signing Cristiano Ronaldo. Why? Because it's Ronaldo and he's United and, you know, the transfer kits are going to sell out. Poor recruitment. It's poor recruitment all over the place. It has led to our demise. It has led to where we are. Poor recruitment is a top 3 issue. If we don't sort that out, which I think Ineos, whether you like them or not, I think they're doing a better job. Are they going to get everything right? No, they're not. You know, I think Ugarte was a bad signing and it clearly doesn't work, and they need to rectify that. I think they need to get him out, and they got to go get somebody else in. Even Zirkzee, to a certain extent. And I think that's why maybe they're looking to loan him and why they're looking to push him out. So, Axe is here. Axe says, who is Semenyo? We need Jamal, Bellingham, Conte, and Lautaro. Listen, if you don't know who Semenyo is, I can't even answer this, bro. I'm not even gonna help you. For you to tell me you don't know who Semenyo is, and then you're gonna name people like Jamal, Bellingham, Conte, and Lautaro, I mean, it's just a joke of a comment, so. You're right, but how do we change it? You love me, but I'm just accepting mediocrity. I mean, I'm not. In my opinion, I'm not. If you feel like I am, then, you know, fair play. But I sort of agree to disagree on that, because my thing is progress is in like steps and levels. So I sort of have this picture. I mean, it's probably clearer in my head than I can maybe explain it. So that's on me, and I apologize. But I try to do my best. But I just sort of see, like, he came in last season and we saw the disaster of it, because I think, again, the massive changes that were made, I think everybody was fools to think that he's just going to come in and implement that and it's going to go swimmingly. Now, he made mistakes along the way. He's inexperienced, and I think that's going to happen. I think that's a bad recipe for a bit of a disaster, which is what we went through last season. Now, in his time here, he's had to learn. He's had to understand better than when he first came. And I think he has. Doesn't mean he's not going to make mistakes going forward. But I think he definitely has a better grip and a better understanding. I think when you look at how it went last season to this season, I think the team is performing better in a lot of different areas. Going forward, based on what we do this season, will determine what gets to happen with him. People want to sack him now, and I don't think that that's just logical. I don't. I think if we get to March and we're 12 points off of a European spot, well, then I think his job is done, and I think it's over. Okay? I don't think he can afford to go really backwards. But if he's keeping us in the conversation, if we have an opportunity, then I think we need to go with him to take the shot of trying to get it. And if he does get it, because that was the goal that was set for him, European football. Now, for me, the Conference League doesn't count. I don't count the Conference League. To me, it's Europa or Champions League. Obviously, I would like Champions League, but I can see with the limitations of the squad we have, how it could be quite difficult to get there. But I would like for them to push on to go get it. If he manages to get one of these spots, then I think he earns the right to say, I get another shot next season. And then we go into next season and we see what we get with next season. But that's just me. I see it as step-by-step process. So I'm not accepting mediocrity, because I don't believe that. I think we are where we are right now, and that's where I see us right now. And we need to go up levels, and we need to continue to make progress. But I am one that believes that progress is not going to happen overnight. I think it's quite impossible at this football club with a lot of the situations that we find ourselves in. And if you look at sort of the downturn, I mean, Ten Hag did a lot of changes. He had all rain. he transferred a lot of players, and I think the reason why he was able to have a good finish in his first season, and then it finished where it finished in 8th, and then the downturn of the third season is because he made all those changes. And after 2 to 3 iterations of changes, he changed the squad, and I think the squad went backwards. And now we came and we made a different change, and we're trying to go in a different direction, and that we're moving away from all that. But it's going to take some time. There's a lot of changes that we still need to make. We need midfield. We need a midfield regardless who's here. We need midfielders whoever's here. So Scholes is wrong. Well, in what way? Because I disagreed a lot with Scholes. So, but it depends on what Scholes said. Scholes is wrong about what? I don't know. You have to be specific on what Scholes is wrong about, and I will tell you. Because I've literally talked about Scholes. I've disagreed with a lot. I disagree with Scholes when he says that he believes that Ruben doesn't understand or get what Manchester United is. I disagree. I listen to the manager speak. I think he knows exactly what Manchester United is supposed to be. So I don't think he's right about that. I think Scholes is wrong about Kobbie Mainoo and the situation about Kobbie Mainoo. I disagree with him telling the kid to leave the football club. In my opinion, that's not the United way, and that's not what United is about. So, Scholes said Amorim isn't the manager for the job. He wants him out. So that's Scholes' opinion. He's allowed to have that opinion. I disagree. I disagree with Paul Scholes. The thing that Scholes listed, I disagree with Paul Scholes. I don't care if he's a legend. I don't care if he's an ex-player. He can have a bad opinion. He can have an opinion that I think is not a good opinion, and I think it doesn't. I don't have to agree with it. I don't care. All of these ex-players, all of these legends, they all open their mouth. They all say things that are ridiculous or that aren't right. Rio said, let's give the contract to Ali and give him whatever he wants, and then look how that turned out. Roy Keane has said things that I disagree with at times. I'm not going to agree with them just because they're a legend of the club all the time. Like, their word to me isn't the Bible. It's not written in stone. So, and that's sometimes they say things that I agree with, and sometimes they say things I don't agree with. Like, I agree in this situation. I agree with Roy Keane. When you talk about like Kobbie Mainoo, for example, I agree with Roy Keane's take over Paul Scholes' take and Gary Neville's take. I don't agree with those guys. I don't agree with the guys telling him to leave the football club. I don't. I agree with Roy Keane's standpoint. Doesn't mean I'm going to agree with everything Roy Keane says. We have other legends of the football club nobody wants to talk about. David Beckham has come out in support of Ruben Amorim, and Michael Carrick has come out in support of Ruben Amorim. Nobody talks about them, though, because they're not being negative, because they're supporting Ruben Amorim. Rooney has come out in support of Ruben Amorim and backs him. Nobody talks about them, and nobody talks about what they say. Why? Because they're being positive, because they're trying to be nice, they're trying to, back the manager. Nobody talks about when they say these things, but when Paul Scholes has something negative to say and says that he doesn't believe that, Ruben's the right guy, now Paul Scholes' word is the Bible, and we should all just mindlessly listen to it and accept it as 100% fact because he knows better than everybody. So, no, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. Schweinsteiger was still very good. He wasn't. I believe that LVG didn't. Bro, Schweinsteiger wasn't very good. He was washed. And he should have never came to us. We should have never paid the money that we paid. We should have never done that deal. They signed him because he was a name. Like, it is a known fact that Ed Woodward signed him because he knew him by name, and they didn't look at him in any way. If he was so good, why didn't he stay at Bayern Munich? Why didn't Bayern Munich keep him? Bayern Munich let him go because he was finished at that level. And yet he comes to United and you want a high top tier player. It's a progress from -50 to -30. I don't know what that means. In the old days, says DJ, all our players would have shot, dribbled, or scored this lot. Well, we have big issues with this generation and these players, so I keep my lights on for all our old players. So you want Kobe to just sit on the bench? I tell him to leave. No, I want Kobe Manu to fight for his position like normal footballers do. Sit on the bench. He's 20 years old. Is he gonna sit on the bench for the rest of his career? So from the age of 20 to 30, he's just gonna sit on the bench for the rest of his life. No, I mean, I believe in Kobe Manu. I believe in his ability, and I believe in his potential. And I believe that if you work hard enough and you continue to work hard enough, you will earn the right to be in the starting lineup. You will become a starter. Right now, this is football. And as I said last time, tough shit. You were a starter, you're not a starter, and you're getting opportunities off the bench. And as a player that used to play, I used to be in the same position. I wasn't always a starter. You know what you do? When the coach or the manager gives me 10 minutes, I run and bust my fucking ass off for 10 minutes. And I make him give me 15. And when he gives me 15, I do it again, and I make him give me 20. You know. So, Kobe Manu should fight for his position. He should fight for his spot. He should fight for his United career. So I don't agree with people telling him that he should leave and go to Chelsea. Okay? If he wants to go on loan for this season as a temporary thing, have no problem with that. Have no problem with that at all. But what I do have a problem with is people telling him he should permanently leave this football club. Number one, why as a Manchester United fan? As a Manchester United fan, a fan of the club, not a fan of the fucking player, a fan of the club, why would you ask a player like Kobe Manu to leave the football club? Because now you're putting the player over the club. Okay? That's player FC to me. You're putting the player first. Okay? For me, we should be doing everything to keep Kobe here. We should be trying to not fan the flames and make Kobe feel like maybe I should jump ship. We should be doing things like, Kobe, you need to fucking keep continuing to work hard because hard work yields results, and you might not be favored now, and it might not work out for you this season, but maybe next season it'll be the season for you, buddy. But no, instead, we're going to tell him, well, you deserve the crown. We deserve to put you on a pedestal. You've accomplished so much for us that you automatically get into the team. And you should start over everybody. And you should be playing 90 minutes always. And you should have no competition because your name is Kobe Manu and you're brilliant at 20 years old. This is what they're telling him. When they're telling him he should leave the football club, that's what they're telling him. And I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. And I agree with the manager in that we have entitled players. We've had entitled players. That's why we have player problems, player power problems at the football club. We've had player power problems at the football club. It started with Jose Mourinho. In fact, I would probably say it started with Moyes. Because once Ferguson left, our legends that were there, Rooney, Scholes, and these guys that were still there, they didn't like what they were seeing from Moyes. They didn't play for him. And I think it started there, and it really turned up in Mourinho, because when Mourinho's saying, I want to get rid of Martial, and they say no, and when players are going behind the manager's back or above his head, and they're going to the CEO, and the CEO is siding with them, well, I think that's where it started. And when players do things that they're not supposed to be doing, and the club doesn't punish them, or their career doesn't end at this football club, and they get to stay here, well, guess what? Other players see that. And if something happens with them, what happens is they go, well, this guy got away with putting up a picture on Instagram about the manager. This guy got away with calling out the manager publicly. You know, that manager is no longer here and he's here. So I'm going to do the same. You know, and it's a snowball effect and it continues to happen. So do you like any of our old players? I love all our old players. I love Rooney. I love Scholes. I love Giggs. I love Park Ji-sung. I love them all. I love them all. But that doesn't mean, you know, listen, it's one thing to be a player, and it's a thing to be a legend, and it's another thing to give me your opinion on what you think about a manager and being a manager. I mean, sorry, but like Paul Scholes, fantastic player. Gary Neville, I have always liked Gary Neville. I always rated Gary Neville. In fact, I always thought that Gary Neville sort of got a bad rep as a player, and that, you know, he was sort of underrated at times. Like, I think people underrate him. I always liked Gary Neville as a player. But sorry, when they start talking to me about managers and I need to take their word, they're not managers. They don't fucking know shit about it. You know, if you're so great and you're so good and you have such a brilliant understanding, where are your coaching badges and why are you not leading our football club to the promised land? You know, why aren't you doing it? You don't have the skill set to do it. You don't. They failed already. Okay, so they can be like everybody else. I'll take them as a fan. I'll take them as a legend of the football club. You can voice your opinion, and it can differ from mine, and that's very all good and well. But I'm not going to look at it and be like, wow, oh my God, like Scholes is like, you know, he said this, and because he played the game, he must be right. You know, I'm not allowed to think what I'm allowed to think, or I was totally wrong in what I'm thinking because, you know, he's so brilliant. He's a genius. He must know it all, which I think some people really do that. Seriously, you really think that if Kobe was better in training, that Bruno, he'd be playing? Do you really think that Amorim and Bruno are joined at the hip? I think that Kobe needs to develop his game more. And I think right now, Kobe needs to accept that he's going through a period, that he is 20 years old at Manchester United, and that he is a substitute player. And you need to continue to develop your game. And yes, the first step comes from training. So that's how it is. The first step comes from training. I've seen this guy put in 17-year-olds in his team. Not at Manchester United, not yet. Although I think that will come if the talent is there. But I've seen 17-year-olds put and start them in Champions League matches because they have the talent and they have the ability and they're better than what he's got. So Kobe is a substitute. He's getting minutes. You can do something with 20, 30 minutes on the pitch. He came on last time, played 30 minutes. He had a good performance. The manager acknowledged that he had a good performance. And he probably would have started if he wasn't injured. I think everybody expected him to start the match that we just played against Villa. So I think the nonsense is that everybody says his career is ruined and it's over, that he's not going to develop properly, that he's not part of Ruben's plans. I think it's all bullshit. Because I know for a fact that if Ruben didn't want him here, he would have, one, asked for him to be sold. I think he would have been sold already. And also, I've seen this guy throw players away. Like, he will throw you away. Like, if he doesn't want you, you ain't going to be part of the squad. If he doesn't want you, you ain't going to play. Like, you're not going to get 10 minutes. You're not going to get 15 minutes. You're not going to get 20 minutes. You're not going to get 30 minutes. You're not going to get it. He won't do it. He doesn't give a fuck in that case. You know what I mean? Like, if he really doesn't rate you as a player, if he's given up on you or he feels like you're useless, he's not going to use you. So, the point is Fernandes is running the club with Amorim. Doesn't matter if Kobe is better than Bruno. Bruno plays because of the World Cup. Okay, so, listen, it is what it is for a season. I think part of the aspects or part of the difficulties of this is obviously we're not in Europe. And we've been kicked out of the Carabao Cup. So, we have one match a week. I think it would be a bit different if we needed a bigger squad for more matches. I think that's one of the impacts of this season. And, you know, life is a bit funny. I mean, if he was fit and he wasn't injured, well, Bruno just got injured and he's out for a whole month. So is that not the opportunity that you can kind of wait for in football? Because, okay, Bruno plays all the time and Bruno's not injured. How is he supposed to displace Bruno? Fair. He still comes on as a sub. He's still getting minutes and Bruno just got injured. So Kobe would have to play. And wouldn't this be the opportunity for Kobe to now prove to the manager and change his mind and have an impact in that way? And it would. It would. But unfortunately, you know, sucks a little bit. Sorry about that. Life sucks a little bit. Amorim would never ask for Kobe to be sold. He's our best academy player and the fan base would be in an uproar. Yes, so doesn't make sense at all. Yes, he would. Bro, he had no problem getting rid of Rashford and he had no problem getting rid of Alejandro Garnacho. If he doesn't rate Kobe, if he thinks Kobe is a problem, if he thinks Kobe isn't good enough for him and his system or Manchester United, which is what people are saying. People are saying that he is not part of Ruben's plans. When that statement means that Kobe is not good enough. They're saying that that Ruben says Kobe's not good enough. If that's true, Ruben is not going to hold on to him. I'm telling you now, I've seen him do it before, and I know what he's about. He's made it abundantly clear. He's made it abundantly clear. If he doesn't rate you, you ain't going to be here. He would already be gone. He would already be gone. He wouldn't be using him. He's not going to use him. Ruben doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care. You think Ruben would care? You know, you're trying to say he would never ask for Kobe to be sold because he's our best academy player and the fan base would be in an uproar. Is the fan base not already in an uproar because he's playing a 3-back? Is the fan base not already not in an uproar because he's not starting Kobe Mainoo? You know, if Ruben gave a fuck, he would be changing things based on the fans being in an uproar. He doesn't care. He does what he wants. So that's why I hold the belief that Kobe is not done. Kobe is part of his plans. It's just not the part of the plan that you think that he should be in. Okay? And I'm going to tell you another thing. If it was me, I ain't Ruben. So I would do something different. I would actually be trying to start Kobe Mainoo, and I would see if that goes well. But I ain't him. And he gets to make his own choices, and he's in charge. And I'm going to let him do his thing, and I'm going to see how it goes. But I ain't going to be two-faced about it because I have a different idea and a different thought to the manager. Rashford was completely different. So was Garnacho. Garnacho was taking massive liberty. I don't think it's different at all. I think he looks at Kobe and says, you got potential, but I got players that I deem ahead of you right now. But you're here, and I plan to keep you here, and you're going to be part of the club. As so long as you continue to say that you want to be a part of this. If you give up on me, then you will go. If you don't choose to stay and fight, then you will go. Because at the end of the day, if you're a manager, you don't want somebody that's a quitter. You want somebody that can go through adversity. You want somebody that can fight through hard times. You want a player that may be unhappy and may not, the world's not going his way right now. He's not getting everything he wants. Okay? And you need somebody that's willing to stay there, fight, push through. Those are the players you need at your football club. You don't need a player that's going to bitch, moan, and cry and be a baby and cause issues at the first sign of adversity. Because how are they going to handle it when we rock up to Anfield and the crowd's against us and the game's going against us and the referee's against us and we're getting fucked? How is that player going to handle that on the pitch? You don't want that player. You want a guy that is going to be in the mud, fight in the trenches, and get out on the other side. So a lot of it is up to Kobe. If Kobe continues to pull up to training, continue to take the opportunities that he's getting in the matches as a substitute and having the impact like he did it like in the Bournemouth match, then he will make it. If he decides, you know what, I don't want to deal with this shit, I should be starting, I'm not willing to go through this thing, well then he won't be here because he'll ask to leave and Ruben will be like, fine. We're not going to keep you here if you want to leave. If you want to fight, you want to fight. He made it quite abundantly. I mean, he said this in his press conference the other day, so he even addressed it. He said the same thing I did, and I said it before he did. It's not that bad of a thing that they have to go through a little bit of adversity. We baby them too much. We give them everything too much. We give everything to them before they actually earn the right and they deserve it. So Lauren says, up to Kobe to ask to be loaned end of January, most likely outcome to get him up to speed, then decide in the summer. I don't think there's really much to decide. I think it's really up to him. At the end of the day, like I just explained, I don't think there's much to decide. Again, I believe that he's part of the plans. I believe they view him as an important player. I believe that they're not looking to sell him. United haven't been looking to sell him. Ruben hasn't asked for him to be sold. Kobe, as far as we know, up to this date, hasn't asked to permanently leave. I think it's a situational thing with lack of matches. I think he wants to be involved in the World Cup. I think if this World Cup was here, I don't even think he would necessarily probably be looking for a loan as much as he is. So I have no problem with Kobe going on loan. I understand the situation of this season with the club itself and the World Cup. I get that. Have no problem. If he wants to go on loan, go on loan. Go on loan. But you might miss some opportunities here. But it is what it is. You got to make a decision on that. You know, Bruno just got injured. If he could get himself fit, he's guaranteed playing time for the next month at least. That's a huge opportunity for him to prove everything that he needs to prove. And we'll get our answers, you know? I want to see it. I want to see it because we'll get our answers. We'll know, would it go well with Kobe in the two? Can Kobe play this position? How good is he going to be if he's getting these starting spots? And I think the same for Ruben Amorim. I think the same thing for the manager. I think if Kobe goes out there and he absolutely balls out, I think Ruben is not a dumb guy. And I think Ruben will have to make the adjustments that he has to make because I think he'll respect it and be like, sort of similar to Casemiro. I mean, Casemiro wasn't favorite. He wasn't in favor at all. Casemiro got a couple opportunities because we had some injuries and Cas had to play. And Cas did what Cas did. He played exceptionally well. And Ruben liked that. And now Cas is his starter. You know, it's all about battling. It's all about competing. Bruno Fernandes might be better than you. But, you know, kind of like what Roy Keane said, go play better than him. You know, if he's so good, if Kobe is so good, like people say he is, when he gets on the pitch, go play better than Bruno. Lucky, I'm proud defense yesterday. Yeah. But you yourself said it's not about mediocrity. Bruno will always play because of the World Cup. Same thing with the low to an extent. No, see, but you're saying that. You're saying that. You're saying Bruno will always play because of the World Cup. That's not why Bruno is playing. Bruno is playing because Ruben Amorim has deemed that Bruno, for that position and his experience and his leadership and the fact that he is the captain of the club, is going to play and start. He has the biggest impact in our team. He creates the most chances in our team. He has the massive impact that he does. That's why Bruno is playing. I don't know where you get this thing that Bruno is playing because of the World Cup. Ruben Amorim doesn't give a fuck about the World Cup. Ruben Amorim cares about Manchester United. If Ruben cared about the World Cup, he would let Kobe and Zirkzee go on loan. He wouldn't be trying to hold on to them because he's worried about squad depth and options. Ruben doesn't care about Bruno's World Cup. He's picking him because he's important to United. And he has deemed that Bruno is better than Kobe in that position. And Cas is better than Manu in that position for that specific thing. Tough shit. It happens. Fight through it. Build up yourself in training. Get better. Keep putting in 100% effort. Take your chances when you get on the pitch, like he did last time. What he did in Bournemouth is what he needs to do every single time. You know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was a substitute for a lot. Yeah. And sometimes during that period, a lot of people felt like, you know, that he should start. And Ferguson didn't start him. And sometimes it felt very hard done by. But you know what Solskjaer was really good at? You know what he was really good at? When he came on the game, he would always make an impact. So he kept himself in the conversation, and he did start some matches because of that as well. And that's what you have to do. That is the proper process of football. Right now, you are not the main guy. Good. If you want it, earn it. Work towards it. Things will change. You are 20 years old. Bruno Fernandes may potentially leave at the end of this season. You know, nothing lasts forever. Just because it's not your year, Kobe. Just because just because it's not Kobe's year, just because he's not in the top most favored spot, doesn't mean next season it's going to be the same. Could be very different. Just because in life you had a shit year doesn't mean next year should be the same. In fact, you should be doing things to make sure that it doesn't go that way. And you have a lot of personal responsibility to do that. Now, there's other things in life that happen. Maybe you get hit by a car. Maybe you get put in the hospital. Maybe you get some type of illness. Those things are a little bit out of your hands. But there are things that you can do in your own personal life to make sure that next year doesn't go as horrible. And there are things that he can do for himself that are out of his hands, but there's things that he could do for himself to make sure that next season he's not in the same circumstances, and that it is better and he's getting way more game time, or maybe he's starting a bunch of matches and stuff like that. So Box is here, our fan base. Yeah, I mean, listen. We've been lost for a long time, Box. Our club has been lost. So it's understandable that our fans are lost as well. Okay? I think a majority of our fans are majorly lost. And we just have to do the best to have conversations with them and make them think of other ways, and maybe make them see that, like, what? Maybe I'm not thinking about it in the right path or the right thought process. And, maybe the position I'm holding is a bit too extreme for the circumstances surrounding this football club at this current moment in time. Because I think ultimately, whether it's the people that are asking for time or it's the people that are demanding now, we still have the same goal in that we want Manchester United to win. We want Manchester United to be successful. We want to see United lift the Premier League trophy. We want to see United lift the Champions League trophy. It's just about going about it different ways and understanding where we are in the moment. But that's about it. Mates look after mates. We had it in England team under Southgate favorites. Bro, every manager has favorites. Every single manager has favorites. Every single one. Every single one. So, I don't know. Pick another player that you like in the squad. Let's say you like Mbeumo, yeah? Let's get a different manager. Let's say he's English. Let's say he's mates with Kobe. Kobe gets to play every match now. But Mbeumo doesn't get to play. You gonna be okay with that because it's Kobe and Mbeumo, and it's not Kobe and Bruno? Are you okay with that? Every manager has favorites. I don't believe in the Portuguese bias bullshit. I think it's bullshit because Bruno has literally been a favorite of every fucking manager that's been here. And there is a reason for that. And it's because he is one of our best players. He's been the most impactful. He is a massive player for our team. Massive. He scores goals. He gets a ton of assists. He creates a lot. He is a massive. So I don't believe in this Portuguese bias bullshit that he's mates with him. Does it play a little bit? Sure. Maybe why not? I mean, they speak the same language. They have same cultural backgrounds. But I don't think that's why Bruno is where Bruno is. I think Bruno is where Bruno is because he is the player that he is. The same thing goes for Delo. I don't think it's because they're Portuguese. I think Delo has been selected and played by multiple managers. Ten Hag was one of them. He still used him. He has a good attitude, a good mentality. He carries himself well, he conducts himself well, and when he's in form, he is really good. And can have good impacts in games. Okay? Compare that to what else we got going on at the football club right now. Delo is better than Dorgu by fucking miles. Maz isn't here, and I prefer Maz as a right centre back, and I don't prefer him as a wing back. So this is what we got. So what do you want him to do? What are you asking for? Lyle is here, and he's back. Lucky says we're going January window, buy midfielder or winger, and we want import quality. Lyle says, just popped back in, lol. What's the chat, though? Some craziness going on. Well, me and Nish have sort of been arguing the whole time, so, I mean, it's fine. I think it's made sort of a good debate. And he's been making some good points. And I think I've been making some good points, but I don't know. I leave that up to the people. It's not for me to judge myself. But, Yeah, I mean, we sort of got into this whole thing. To be honest, I don't know how we got in this conversation because I was doing updates on Semenyo. I was going to do updates on Zirkzee. And then we started talking about the manager, Ruben Amorim, and we started talking about Kobe, and we started talking about progress and no progress and sort of stuff like that. So, well, but still, even though it was off topic from what I wanted to discuss, sort of a little bit, I still have enjoyed it. I have enjoyed it thoroughly. So, and I respect Niche because listen, he believes what he believes, and you know, he has the right to do that. And I think even in the points that he's making, I'll disagree with them and I'll fire back at them, but I think he puts them in a way that, I appreciate because it allows real discussion. It allows real discussion. And Niche hasn't gotten personal or anything like that. He's not here calling me a fucking idiot or something like that. So, that's what I like. So, none of us fans ultimately know the solution or the right answer. I mean, I wish I did because I would write them a letter. I wish I could go to the future and like understand what's going to happen. And I don't really profess to say like, my way is absolutely the correct way. My way that I present is the way that I believe will work, or that I hope will work. Like, because I believe that it's the proper way for me to go about things, and I think it would yield success, but I don't have a fucking clue, and I'm wrong about a lot of things. And I'm always going to be wrong about a lot of things, and I'm not going to get everything right. So, I'm not. I don't sit here and try to say I'm some sort of expert and that I actually know a lot more than a lot of people, but. I will disagree with a lot of things. I will call things out that I feel like is quite bullshit. Like I feel like there's a lot of narratives in this fan base that I think is bullshit. And, some people take these narratives, and maybe it's the way I say things, but because in my brain, it gets pieced together a lot better. But like, there are narratives in this football club that a certain majority might have, and other people take it as it's 100% fact. And I feel like my job is always to sort of hit back at that and present a different option, because I am sort of a person that I think you can probably tell from many of you that have been here for quite some time. And sometimes it's a bit crazy. I'll say one thing and I say another thing because I'm thinking out loud. And when I think out loud, it's like there's so many options. There's so many things that can happen. You can look at it this way. You can look at it that way. You can think of it this way. You can think of it that way. And I sort of try to present a bunch of different options and then rationalize it to myself and be like, well, for me, this path makes more sense than that path or whatever it is. So that's really what I be doing. But I think some people don't do that out there. And, from responses that I see of the United fan base, from discussions that I see people have, like, I feel like there's sort of a narrow-mindedness in the fan base at this time. And they don't open up for conversation. They don't open up to think differently. They don't open up to view things in different ways. And I have a problem with that. I do. I think that's really bad. And I think it's really wrong. So, and I think it leads to issues in the fan base. And I think it leads to issues of mentality in the fan base. Lala says, but Bruno produces numbers, produces numbers don't lie, so we should take him out for Kobe. Well, no, I just think, listen, like I've sort of removed a bit of the emotion out of this. I think some people are quite emotional towards players. I think, it might have to do with how old they are. I don't know how old a lot of these people are, but I think some people are quite emotional towards players. And I am a guy that I've sort of removed a lot of emotion from players, especially over the last years. When Fergie was here, I was one of these guys that, listen, I would never go against Fergie or anything, but I was quite emotional towards some players. If he didn't start a player, I'd get mad at Fergie. I'd get angry at Fergie and be like, yo, why the fuck isn't he starting this guy? Like, it's fucked up what he's doing to him. But over the years, especially after Fergie, and especially watching these players let us down one after another, and watching how they act and watch how they at times either disrespect the badge or disrespect the shirt, or, not live up to the shirt, and how they conduct themselves, and how it's a lot more selfish, and how it's not about a team aspect, how it is more about themselves. I've lost a lot of love for, like, I'm not going to put myself in a position to have love for players. That will come on the day that they decide to make themselves champions again. The team that actually gets back to lifting the Premier League trophy, I know I can support them emotionally because they will be the team that does everything right to get there. But in this meantime, I can't do that. I cannot take any player's side. Like, this fan base has done this with Jadon Sancho, where people that hated Eric Ten Hag said Ten Hag shouldn't have said those things about Sancho, and Sancho was right to come out and do what he did. Absolutely fucking not. Even if Ten Hag shouldn't have said what he said, that's the manager's issue, and the manager has to, atone for that publicly, okay? That's not up for the player to decide that. That's not up for the player to make a sort of a public stance against the manager. That's not your position. You don't do those things. Even if Ten Hag lied, even if it was an actual lie, and Sancho had every right to be pissed, you don't have every right to do what you did. So, in that situation, I'm never backing Jadon Sancho. Even if I wasn't happy with Eric Ten Hag, even if I thought he might have been lying or he was making shit up, you don't get the right to do that. And the second you do that, sorry, but you've lost me, you've lost my support, and now you can get the fuck out of my football club, please and thank you. I don't care what kind of talent you have. I don't care if you have all of Ronaldo and Messi's talent combined in your left fucking pinky toe. You can leave my football club. Because it doesn't work like that. I have a certain level for respect of authority and people that are, in positions that are above you. There has to be a certain level of respect. There has to be a certain level of understanding of how this works. And I don't respect people that try to supersede this system. If you are a player, I'm very angry. Listen, I believe in Harry Amos. Yeah, I've been talked about him for quite some time. And I think he is a guy, and I want him to get more opportunities. And when he wasn't, there was a period where we didn't have a fucking left back for about 2 years. And I was, the guys here can tell you. The guys here that are here every day and every stream, they can tell you. They can tell you how many times I've been saying, give Harry Amos a chance. Play him. Play him, we have nothing to lose. But I'm sorry, Harry Amos, like, you can't put a picture of yourself holding the Player of the Month award on Instagram when the manager mentions you in a press conference that you don't like. You're not allowed to do that. You are nothing right now. You have accomplished nothing. You have no stature. You are a kid. You shouldn't have the mentality to do that. You shouldn't feel comfortable at Manchester United that there's not going to be some sort of repercussions, that maybe you lose your career at United, you lose your opportunity, that you're going to respond to the manager publicly. That is a severe issue, and I don't like players doing that. Now, I've given Kobe the benefit of the doubt as well. I don't think he had anything to do with his brother being a jackass wearing a free Kobe Manu shirt, and I don't think Kobe should be punished for that at all, unless there was some sort of proof, unless there was a recording of a phone call they had, if there was some text messages and Kobe was like, hey, wear this shirt for me, different story. But we're not going to get that, and I don't think that happened. So I feel like I keep it pretty balanced. But there is a hierarchy, and I believe in the hierarchy. It's players, manager, and then, up above. So nobody is allowed to supersede, whether the manager has a 0% win ratio and he's the worst fucking guy. And I'll tell you this, even Gareth Southgate, right? I hate Gareth Southgate. And if Gareth Southgate came to Manchester United as manager, I would hate life like crazy. And I've said I won't back him, right? And to a certain degree, I won't, because I think it's just a fucking joke and it would be an ultimate failure. But, I don't care who it is. I don't care if Bruno is here and he comes out and he says some shit against Gareth Southgate, and I know it's true. Bruno is not. You're not allowed to do that. You can't do that because he is the manager, and you can't do that without repercussions from the club. I saw Axe said he didn't know who Semenyo was and that he wanted to sign Yamal and a 40-year-old Conte instead. Yes, you are correct. And this is what we have to deal with, Box. This is what we have to deal with because unfortunately, Box, and this is what I'm saying. Like this is why I let people speak and I let people say things because there are a lot of people like that don't have knowledge, don't do research, don't want to know, but they want to say things. And online world, some of these people have a very loud voice. Some of these people have a large following. So you need to let them speak so they can say things. So we know where we stand. So we don't have, there are people that can put good points across with fact and stuff behind it that we can take serious, that we can then have an actual conversation behind. And then there are the people that just say things just to say things and they don't know much, but then they want to profess like they know everything about a certain topic. And it's like, well, I can't really take your word for that. And he might just be trolling, but he doesn't do himself favors. Again, act like a troll and everybody thinks that you're a clown. So if you want to be respected, if you want to be taken seriously, actually act in that way. If you just want to be known as a troll, well, or if you just want to troll to have fun, troll and have fun. I don't give a shit. But, me and everybody else, we ain't going to take you seriously. And the things you say, you're going to be viewed as a clown. So, it's really on you. I don't care. People control. They could do whatever they want. But I think that there are some people out there that are seriously like this. And those people need to be called out. Niche fan says, no, I've always loved this channel. We just disagree. I hope you're right. I just agree with Skulls. Well, listen, I love Niche. And I'm going to make this as clear as possible. I love the fact that you love this channel and that we disagree. And I'm happy that you can love the channel while we disagree. Because I'm being 100% serious. There's too many people out there in the world that would have this disagreement and this argument that we would have. And they would be like, fuck that guy, I hate him, and I'm never watching his channel again, and he could go fuck himself. So I'm glad. And I respect you a ton. So and I'm really happy. I'm actually really happy you're here, and I'm happy that you're disagreeing with me. I don't want people always agreeing with me. I don't want a community that's filled with a bunch of people that when I say jump, they say how high. I don't want that. One, I think that's weird, and two, I think it's boring. And three, I think it's not productive at all. And it gives me that sense of it's not real, it's fake, right? It's kind of fake. It's like a Hindmive type of thing. It's not real. You don't have you don't have individualism. You don't have freedom. You are just it's just a facade. It's fake. I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't like that. So, I haven't seen anything from him make me jump out of my seat. I'm 100% with Kino and Kobe. And this is the thing, the fan base is pretty split on it anyway. There are a bunch of people that agree with Roy Keane. There are a bunch of people that agreeing with Paul Scholes. I'm sure there's somebody that agrees with none of them and hates them all. Because you'll find anybody in the world today. But yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people that are agreeing with Kino. There's a lot of people agreeing with Scholes. This is the fan base, but we have to have conversations about it if the fan base is ever going to sort of sort anything out about itself. Attacking people and calling them fucking, just plain old dickheads and not having a conversation that actually breaks it down it doesn't help the situation. It makes the fan base more just, I don't know, not evil, but it just makes it more less common sense, in my opinion, because you get one extreme, you get another extreme. Now everybody's just all extreme, and there's no common sort of discussion going on. There's nothing that we can hash out, work out, think out together. And again, like I said, I think that's foolish because ultimately, whether you think that United should win the Premier League this season or next season or whatever it is, whether you think it should take 2 years and we should be doing more right now, we're not doing enough, or you think it's going to take, 4 years, or somebody might think it takes 8 years, ultimately, we still want the same goal, and that is that we just want United to be great again. We want United to win Premier Leagues, and we want United to win Champions Leagues. So we have to have the conversation, you know what I mean? Lana says those fans that stood with Sancho were super weird. That was a strange time. It really opened my eyes to this fan base. Well, again, like, this is sort of the thing, like, you know how they view us, that we're strange because we're standing with Ten Hag, because in their eyes, Ten Hag is a liar. Ten Hag is an evil man. Ten Hag was a shit manager. So why would you stand with Ten Hag? We got to stand with Sancho, because Sancho is a baller. Sancho is getting fucked over by the manager. Sancho, isn't his career is going down because of this guy, specifically this guy. And if this guy wasn't here, Sancho would flourish and he would be a total baller for United, which would make United better. This is their like whole rationalizing and understanding. Now, I can't agree with that because, again, I've already said I have a certain, a certain code, a certain belief of how this thing works. And then it's players, manager, and then obviously up above. And I always find it funny because it's like, even the players, even Sancho that has done that, right? Like a player like Sancho that went against the manager. You don't have the balls to go against the hierarchy, do you? Do you have the balls to call out the CEO? No, because you want to use the CEO in your pocket. I mean, at that time, right? Not anymore, which is good. And I think what's happening now is the opposite. And I think it's good. I think even if the manager isn't doing well, the hierarchy has a responsibility to show that, if you're down tools, you're going to get fucked. The manager is going to be separate. But if you down tools, if you don't perform at this football club, yeah, he might get sacked, but we're also going to remember, hey, you played like shit for 4 months straight. Hey, you fucking let us down. Hey, you're not hitting the levels that you're supposed to be hitting. So not only will the manager end up losing his job, but actually your career at Manchester United is coming to a halt. We're not going to keep you here just to keep you here to say it was all 100% on the manager. You have a responsibility as a player as well. If we see you walking on the pitch, you could get the fuck out of this football club. If there's instances that you're showing up to training and you're half-assing training and you're doing 50% in training, or you're showing up to training late, or you're not taking things seriously, well, guess what? That manager, he might lose his job because of results, but you're also going to end up being shipped out of this football club because we're not keeping you here. And I don't think we had that balance before. And I think we're sort of leaning into this balance now. Like Ruben, listen, yes, he has 30% win ratio. Yes, it's not like amazing at all times. And last season was a disaster, 100%. But what I think they're doing is, and it's pissing fans off, but I think it's the correct way. You have to back the manager. You can't allow room for the players to feel like if I just fuck over this guy, he's going to be gone and I'm going to get my way. You can't have that aspect. You have to have it balanced. They have to feel fear for their own careers. They have to feel fear that if they don't perform, if they don't try the best for the manager, even if they disagree with him, even if they think he's a dumbass, even if they think he's shit at his job, they need to be fighting 100%. They need to feel like they need to fight 100% because they need to have a fear that they will lose their career at this club. And before, they didn't have that. And I think now they do. Because I think there could be times where, I think it's normal. Players will question, is this system good enough? Is the manager good enough? Is our team good enough? Things are going shit. They're going to disagree with, decisions the manager makes, and players, I mean, they're just human. They're like everybody else. And I've been in teams that have done that too, not at a professional level, but I know that it happens. I know it happens at a professional level. I know it happens at a non-professional level. Coaches, managers will pick a guy and you'll be there, sat on the bench, and you'll be like, yo, fuck him. Like, I play way better than him. This guy didn't even come to training on one of the days and he's still starting over me. Like, that's fucking bullshit. It happens. It's a part of life. It's a part of the game of football. What I can't do is, start self-sabotaging the team. And, at my level, it's a bit different because, how are you going to self-sabotage? It's literally just the coach. It's not like there's an owner, or something like that. So it's a bit different. But for them, it's like, he does something, you don't agree with him, you could just start self-sabotaging him with no repercussions because you have a 4-year contract and United's not going to sell you. And that's what was happening before. And now it's different. So, Box says, modern footballers are very comfortable using social media. Guys, please smash the like button, please. Thank you. Modern footballers are very comfortable using social media or public or publicity as vehicles for nonsense. Well, I think part of the problem is, I think their agents, because we probably forget. Listen, agents are dirty. Yeah, they could be your best friend or they could be the biggest snake, right? So I think agents are a big problem because they probably lean towards using, public perception and, just public opinion, and also maybe trying to force a move and stuff like that. So I think agents play a hand in this, in players doing this sort of thing. And I think it also comes from the players as well. Like, I think it comes from the generation of player, but also I think it comes because at a time at Manchester United, there was a lack of sort of repercussions, and I think with examples like Rashford and Garnacho, I think they used them as examples. Not only was it the proper thing to do, but I think they were also at the same time, I think they were used as examples. And it was like, look, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, irregardless of this manager, if you're not doing what you're doing as a professional, if you step out of line, you will suffer consequences. We have no problem removing you. We don't care if you came from the academy. You cannot act a certain way. You cannot conduct yourself a certain way at this football club. And you have to suffer consequences with your actions. And I think for a long time, there wasn't consequences with their actions. I think they were being actually rewarded for bad behavior and bad actions that many fans don't want. I still think the majority of fans are not Player FC, but Player FC, there is a large faction, and they are quite loud and they are quite annoying. Sancho hasn't started a game for Aston Villa since he joined them. Yeah, I mean, listen, he has a poor attitude, he has a poor mentality, and he probably wasn't right for English football. I mean, it was probably the reason why City sold him in the first place. And listen, as far as I've seen, I think, he did okay at Chelsea, but he wasn't like amazing or anything. And obviously his best period was playing at the Bundesliga. And I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up leaving Aston Villa, because Aston Villa they're actually trying to get rid of him. They don't even want him for the remainder of the loan. So they're trying to get rid of him. They're trying to end that situation. They don't want him. So I wouldn't be surprised if he, gets removed and if he goes back to the Bundesliga and he actually does well in the Bundesliga. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Because I think for him, German football and Bundesliga football, good for him. English football, even though he's English, and you would say, well, how can you be English and not be good at English football? I mean, you kind of grew up in it, but it just seems that way. I mean, didn't work well at United, wasn't exceptionally great at Chelsea, and he's at Aston Villa. I mean, how many more examples do you want? And also, he was sold from City in the beginning. So how many more opportunities in English football or examples do you need to sort of understand that English football just ain't for him? England ain't for him. He quite clearly flourishes in a different country, in a different league. Maybe a loan to Scunthorpe, United. Yeah, maybe that would do him good. Maybe it would be good. Listen, where are we? 2 hours? All right, real quick, speed run, because, I mean, we got into a nice big discussion about other things, but I just want to sort of hit the topical news before we get out of here, and then we won't go live tomorrow, but we will go live on Wednesday, and a Wednesday is obviously Christmas Eve, so I'll find a time to do a live for Christmas Eve. I think I can do one at 3 p.m. And we'll sort of say, Merry Christmas to everybody that is celebrating Christmas, and we'll sort of do that. And then obviously Thursday is Christmas, and then Friday is Boxing Day, and we'll be back live Friday for Boxing Day. So Wednesday, we'll do a sort of a Christmas and, match preview and news preview for the Newcastle game. for the Boxing Day match that we have. But before we get out of here, let me just hit some of the updates because there is some updates and my eyes are going crazy with the lights. I've been in front of the lights too long. So let me just pull this up wherever it may have went. Couple updates. So one, David Ornstein just came out on NBC Sports 27 minutes ago about Elliot Anderson, excuse me. And he said Manchester United have made their interest known. He said, I think he's a top tier, he's top of their list. Or 3 or there or thereabouts for a number 6 6 come the summer. So we got this other update now. I don't know this there's a guy named Paul O'Keefe. I don't really know him, but the aggregators are trusting him, so take it with a sort of a bit of salt, grain of salt. But he has said that Manchester United like RB Leipzig winger Jan Diomande a lot, so maybe look for that, and that would sort of be like a Vavel type of thing too. So let's see if there's something in there with it, but not much detail in that update, just a very small one there. To go into Semenyo, and also, guys, get your final thoughts and comments in, and also make sure you smash that like button. But get your final thoughts, comments, opinions, get them in the chat. I'll do a speed run through them before we end. This one coming from Sully Talks saying, an hour ago about Semenyo. If given the green light, Manchester United want to negotiate Antoine Semenyo's £65 million release clause in installments spread across multiple years, which will help with cash flow. Jason Wilcox and Ruben Amorim have identified Semenyo as an elite player who aligns with the club model. Well, I think for the very least, I think he is sort of a, listen, you don't want to use elite. I will say very good. Excellent, whatever the word, the adjective you want, but I think he does align with the club model. I think he does. I think he fits the mold very, very well, and I think he is a very good player. So, typical United though, looking to negotiate the fucking release clause. I mean, listen, if they could do it, I guess it helps us. So I can't be that mad, but. But I mean, I guess as long as it doesn't hinder us, right? I guess as long as it doesn't hinder the deal, I don't think it really should. And I guess they're also, it's a bit similar to the other one, like we did with Wolves. Like they will look to see if they can get a negotiation for it. If they can't, then they'll end up probably just paying it. But I mean, I guess like it's not that big of a deal in terms of like, listen, it doesn't hurt to ask, right? I mean, it's not like it's going to make the deal fall through or anything. Again, a lot of it is on Semenyo, so. Morgan Rogers commented on Jack Fletcher's Instagram post and told him that he was proud of him. So, big up him. And listen, very good player. He scored 2 very good goals, and he's killing it right now. So, none but respect. Can't hate him for what he did to us yesterday. Ben Jacobs came out about 3 hours ago and said Manchester United are not ruling out signing a midfielder in January and have discussed Ruben Neves internally. Al Hilal will listen to offers in excess of £15 million for Neves, which is $5 million less than what was quoted literally 3 days ago, where it was £20 million. Now it's in excess of £15 million, but in excess of £15 million can literally mean $15.5 million. So I like how they always change the wording to make it sound like it's brand new news when it's literally the same shit. But whatever, they got it. I guess they got to eat too. They got to make a living. So, but yeah, listen, I'm gonna do actually a little bit of a for Wednesday. I promise I will dig into Ruben Neves' stats. I'm gonna see how his stats is comparing to the top 5 leagues, including Champions League and Europa League over the last 365 days. I'm going to pull some main things to see sort of, what the picture is about him and how he is. And let's see, because listen, a 28-year-old for that amount of money, obviously the big ultimate question is, does he have the legs and will he be able to, provide competition in the Premier League? Like, will he be able to handle the Premier League? Or is it going to be too out of his depth, and does he not have the legs? But, other than that, And I guess for our situation, I'd be willing to sort of take a gamble on it in terms of that he is 28. You know, if you were telling me he's 33, 34 years old, I'd be like, nah, fuck no. Because it was like, clearly, obviously, he won't have the legs. He's not the fastest guy, but at 28, I would like to think that he can still compete in the Premier League at a high level, like how he was doing before he left the Premier League. And you're telling me for 15 million, listen, we could bring him in. I think he'd have a better impact than sort of Ugarte can on the pitch. Like, and listen, Ugarte wasn't necessarily bad defensively last game, but I've always talked about this. The video I made about Ugarte that I have up on the channel, I talked about how in that video I talked about how he is just really more of a defensive player. He really struggles in terms of link up play or attacking output or like linking the midfield, like going forward. He really struggles. And you can see that, he is not a player that's so confident in terms of when he grabs the ball, he doesn't turn forward around a lot. He usually holds the ball, turns sideways, turns backwards. His nature, his first thing is to not turn around and go forward. I think you quite see the difference between him and Licha, right? Licha is a guy that is, and it's not even his main position in the midfield, but Licha is a guy that he gets the ball and his first thought and his first action is turn, go forward, and start going forward with the ball and make a forward pass. It's not Ugarte's thing. And when he tries it, he's sending long balls. I mean, he sent that ball to the fucking moon that he tried to send to the wing. So, yeah. But one of the other things that we never really got to talk about during the show, but I will address it now, is that Joshua Zirkzee had two things about Joshua Zirkzee. One of the things for Joshua Zirkzee is that Roma are closing in on Joshua Zirkzee. Constant contacts are ongoing, and the parties are getting closer. So Roma are advancing in talks with Joshua Zirkzee on personal terms for January. That is happening, and that there is sort of an offer. Although I don't know if it's been agreed or not, but maybe maybe it hasn't been fully submitted, but it's being discussed or it's being talked about. In that, I believe it is a loan with an obligation to buy for 40 million. I think it's euros, 40 million euros. And if it's, I think the obligation has to do with if Roma qualify for, I believe, the Champions League. It is. So there's these things surrounding Zirkzee. One of the updates that kind of goes hand in hand with this is that, Manchester United are looking at possible midfield options in January following Bruno's injury. And he's had the test today will determine the extent. So we'll probably find out, tomorrow or later or whatever, 100%. Or at least when if Ruben does his press conference, maybe he'll tell us. But one of the things with Zirkzee is that Zirkzee is impressed by the project Roma have presented to him. Talks are ongoing, no decision yet, as Manchester United have not given their approval at this stage. Zirkzee has several inquiries on the table, not just Roma. And there was something about Kobe Mainu at one point, but I don't really know exactly where it is. Actually, funny enough that we were talking about this, Amorim was asked the other day on whether Jadon Sancho proves Scott McTominay's point. And he did say, I've got nothing to say about that. Sancho isn't our player right now. He's with the opposition and won't be involved because he's on loan and eligible. He's a very good player. I mean, I don't expect him to say anything less. I don't think he's a very good player, but yeah. Oh, man. Rest in peace to one of the creators I just seen right here. One of the creators of Call of Duty. If you're a Call of Duty fan, Vince Zampella has passed away in a car accident on Sunday in Los Angeles. So rest in peace to that guy. He was legend of, to Call of Duty. And yeah, sad news, sad news. Where is the Kobe Mainu story? I want to get the Kobe Mainu story. Or, well, it wasn't really a story. It was like an update, but I don't really know where it went. So, But I did see an update earlier about Kobe Manu. Something about like that he probably doesn't have a chance on going on loan now, even less because of the injury to Bruno. Um, so it was something like that, but I'm paraphrasing a bit here. On this, and if I could find it. So here's one of the updates. One of the updates, Ben Jacobs saying Kobe Manu is open to a Napoli loan for more minutes to secure his England spot for the 2026 World Cup. Manchester United, however, oppose any loan or sale and won't reconsider without signing a new midfielder first. And Sky Sports Premier League, here's the update that I was talking about, said earlier in the day, about 8 hours ago, said Manchester United is unlikely to, Kobe Manu is unlikely to leave Manchester United permanently or on loan in January as a result of Bruno Fernandes's injury. So we'll see how this develops. I mean, we got to see what happens with Bruno, how long he's going to be out, and we're going to have to see what happens sort of with the rest of the squad. But I think right now, as long as Bruno's out and as long as we got these players on AFCON and as long as, we don't have somebody else coming into the team, I think that there's absolutely zero chance that Kobe Manu is going to be allowed to leave. So, maybe that changes late into the January window. Maybe they keep him here until the 31st and they let him go. But I don't expect anything for Kobe to happen, especially if Bruno is, let's say, out for a month. I don't expect Kobe to go anywhere for at least the first 21 days of January. I don't think that that's even possible. It's not even realistic. So, I just don't think it can happen, even if they were willing to give him more time. I think as it stands right now, there's no chance. And maybe he still feels like he wants to, because maybe he's not so confident as to what happens when everybody does come back. But I mean, you did want an opportunity, and this one in sort of a fucked up way has presented itself in terms of that. The guy that everybody says that you're never going to be able to play ahead of. Well, now you're going to play ahead of him because he's injured. So, it's an opportunity to take, in my opinion, for me. But there hasn't really been any significant update on this. There hasn't been any real significant update, so we're gonna have to wait. Maybe we get it tomorrow. If we get it tomorrow, we'll talk about it on Wednesday. Maybe we'll get it on Wednesday. I don't know when Ruben is supposed to do the press conference. I don't know if it's tomorrow or Wednesday. So, but tomorrow we're not gonna stream. So, Derek says, I think Amorim should stick to given line up with minimal changes. Yeah, I listen. I think that's what he's been doing as well. We talked about that a little bit. Like you can make an argument for, listen, you're playing the same guys, and the results aren't going fantastic, and some of them are letting you down. And I think it's fair to make the argument of like, listen, in the aspect that we are playing less matches and we're playing once a week, maybe the momentum is a bit harder to keep from match to match, and so he's not trying to make too many changes. He's trying to build momentum and consistency with these guys. And while he's choosing the team that he feels is best, his strongest and best team. So, I mean, he's doing it, and I'll let him have a go for it. You know what I mean? And why not? So, Newcastle have 6 defensive players out, maybe 1 midfielder. Well, we'll discuss that more in depth, Lucky, when we get to when I do the preview on Wednesday. I don't know about DeLitt and Harry Maguire. I don't think they're going to be, but they're not going to make it back for Newcastle, I don't think. And we haven't gotten updates about them. So I don't know. These guys, those are 2 guys that it's like, listen, DeLitt was only supposed to miss 1 game. It's been like 4 games now or something like that. So you would kind of expect for them to be getting back in training soon, but we don't know what's going on with them exactly. And the only updates that we got is that they're just not back and they're just not available. So, that's his mentality. League 2 football. Kobe Manu not for sale. Well, he definitely can't. He definitely can't be sent out on loan as of right now either. So, just because of the situation. So, life is, listen, life is funny sometimes, and life goes in certain ways, and sometimes, things don't work out for you, or you don't get things that you want, or they don't go your way. And for him, he's wanted a loan. He's not getting it. He wants to desperately be part of England. He may not get that. He also sort of wanted more minutes and opportunities. And now there's a potential chance that he gets that here at Manchester United for the time being, at the very least. So, life is funny sometimes. And, it doesn't always go the way that you feel like you need it to. But maybe something happens out of this. Again, like with this, if he's able to get fit, and maybe he doesn't make it back for Newcastle, but, maybe the match after. And the match after that, if Bruno is actually out for a month, or, God forbid he's out for longer, but let's just say he's out for a month. I mean, Kobe, you have a good month there. That's about, you have about 4 matches or so, and I would expect him fully to be in the team. I think if Bruno's not in there, I don't think we're going to see Ruben go with the new Ugarte and Casemiro. I think you need somebody like a Manu. If you don't have a Bruno. So, it's a big opportunity for him, and maybe he makes the thing. And maybe it goes so well for him in this period, and he makes such a big enough impact that he does push Ruben to make some sort of alteration or change, and then maybe he doesn't feel like he needs to go out on loan. Maybe Kobe starts playing a lot more. Maybe Kobe actually starts starting after this period. So, some people might feel like it might not happen. Some people feel like that might not be likely, and that's fine. I'm not saying it's definitely going to happen, but I just think that there's possibilities right now on the table, and let's see what comes out of them, and then we assess like we always do as we watch the story unfold. 2 guys will get back training, get fitness up. Well, we need them back. We do need them back. So hopefully they do come back, and hopefully Bruno's injury isn't too bad, and he's not going to be out for too long, because we need him, and we need Kobe to get fit as well. So I would love and hope that Kobe will be available for Newcastle, but the indications were that it doesn't seem that likely that he'd be able to be back for Newcastle. It's a bit of a short turnaround. I mean, he got injured on, I think it was the Saturday, and he wasn't available for Sunday, and the match is on a Thursday. So, it's not even a full week. So, but I hope for our sake, I hope for his sake, because I think I would like him to take, once this opportunity is here, I don't want him to miss sort of the opportunities now because of something stupid, in my opinion, like an injury, you know what I mean? So I want to see him get the opportunities. I want to see what he can show us. I want to see us what's there to come out of. And, I hope he takes it, and I hope he does well, and I hope he forces his way into the team, like I said, that I believe that he can. So, but listen, other than that, I think that's it for today's show. So shout out to everybody that, came to support and showed love, got involved in the comments, smashed the like button. That's very important. Thank you to everybody that was new and subscribed to the channel. And make sure you got those notification bells clicked, because that way you don't miss the lives. And, you support the channel, and you get the videos pushed out there further. And, we build a bigger, more massive community. So we did have a poll here. And before I forget that poll, I will say the poll. But the poll that I had here was, would you get rid of Zirkzee and bring in Semenyo? Because I sort of feel like that might have to happen in terms of number of players that we have at this squad. And, in the overarching things, maybe they were willing to work with Zirkzee. Maybe they sort of wanted to move him on, because again, Zirkzee was sort of a signing that they did for Ten Hag, and we have gone in a different direction. And maybe they were trying to see if it would still work. But maybe if they had the opportunity, if they could recoup the money, they'd move him on and go in a different direction. So I asked this. We had 38 votes here, which is good. I wish we had 38 likes. I don't know where that happened. We had 38 votes. I wish we had 38 likes. That would have been phenomenal if we had got that done, but we didn't. So with 38 votes, and 82% of people voted yes, they would get rid of Zirkzee and bring in Semenyo, and 18% of the people voted no. So that's kind of where people stand. I mean, I kind of fit into that camp as well. Like, I'm going to be honest, I voted yes. I think if you're asking me in terms of like, not directly, not like Zirkzee's funding Semenyo to a certain extent, but if you tell me like Semenyo come in and Zirkzee go on loan, I ain't gonna, loan with the sale at the end of it. Yeah, I think I'd prefer Antoine Semenyo in the squad. I think he gives us another different dynamic, and I like those types of players. I like the players like Semenyo. I like sort of quick, strong, agile, good dribbler players. Very direct players that can drive at defenses, drive at the center backs and opposition, and put them on the back foot and stuff like that. I like those types of players. So I think if you get him in, and Zirkzee goes out on loan, I think I'd be okay with it. I'd be happy with it. So, we will assess with Casemiro body along with others. Well, Casemiro just wasn't part of the. He was just suspended, right? So Cass will be fine. Cass is coming back in. He just accumulated too many yellow cards. So Cass will be back for the Newcastle game. That's the one positive that we got going. Uncle Cass, at the very least. Everywhere else we're sort of clutching for straws. We're kind of hoping Bruno's injury isn't too much or too bad. We're hoping that Kobe can somehow make it back for Thursday, although I think it's unlikely. I mean, Friday. We're hoping De Ligt can come back and Maguire can come back, but I don't know. We'll find out soon because they'll give us the updates. So Lisandro, we assess get back. Well, Lisandro's there. He's just got to build up his fitness, so we got to take a little bit more time with him. I think, how long has it been? He hasn't been back for like a month yet, at least. I think it'll take probably a good like 2 to 3 months to get him fully back 100% to his full butcherness. Yeah, I think at the time you can sort of still quite see that, I don't think he can give us more than a certain amount of time. And I don't think that, he might actually physically be able to do it, but I don't think they're taking the chance on it. They're not trying to push him too hard. There's no need for it. What we need him available. So I'd rather him be available for 45 than try and play him for 70, and then he gets injured and he's fucking gone for another 3-4 months, So he wouldn't want that either. So just in due time, we're taking our time and we're moving. So but listen, we're out of here. Everybody be good. Have a good night. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for smashing the like button. If you didn't hit the like button, please make sure you hit the like button on the way out. It is massive to the channel, so I greatly appreciate it. If you're new and you subscribed, thank you. Welcome to the community. Welcome here. We will be back live again Wednesday at 8 p.m. UK. So if you're not from the UK, do the math, but that's the best time possible for me to give everybody. So 8 p.m. UK, we will be back Wednesday. It might be like 8:15 like it was today. But 8:15, be on the lookout. We'll do a preview for Newcastle. We'll say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everybody. And we'll discuss whatever other news comes out, from tomorrow and from Wednesday as well. And then we'll be back obviously for Boxing Day as well. So other than that, everybody be good, stay safe, have a good night, take care, and we'll see each other in